When I was younger, I wanted nothing more than a flawless childhood filled with eating ripe melons by the pool and having imaginary sword fights with branches that fell off the spindly oak in our backyard. My mom and I spent several hours a day reading to each other.
I want to get more picture of you.
I would fantasize about being a protagonist lost in the plot of my own story. Little did I know, I would get my wish, but with an unimaginable plot twist. I had no sense then what journey life had planned for me. When I was diagnosed at age 5 with acute lymphoblastic leukemia, my dreams of having a perfect childhood were relinquished. My fantasies, then turned into distant echoes of wistful fairy tales, became weeks of isolation in a sterile, monochromatic hospital room, being pumped full of chemotherapy and other drugs I learned to pronounce by the time I was 6.
We're there 24/7.
I'm on the phone with the ICU all the time, emails at 2 o'clock in the morning, and we're trying to figure out how do we deal with this.
Instead of making lifelong friends in the first years of elementary school, I was befriending my nurses and oncologists.
There was nothing else we knew we could give her, knowing at that point that we didn't think she was going to survive.
This is Emily Whitehead. She was the first pediatric patient to receive this revolutionary treatment in 2012, and she recently had her 6-year checkup and is still cancer-free.
After receiving CAR T therapy at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, I started a new leg of my journey, filled with traveling and patient advocacy work. Through this work, I have discovered that helping people is something that I love. I started the Emily Whitehead Foundation, which has raised over $2 million to fund immunotherapy treatments like the one that saved me. I'm proud that through our partnership with Stand Up to Cancer, we've been able to push the impact of that research even farther.
Thank you, Dr. June, Dr. Grupp, and all of the DREAM teams.
The experiences I have had since finishing the chapter of my life fighting cancer have led me to the passions that I have today, such as environmental science and photography that I plan to study in college. Without all that I endured as that sick girl in the hospital with no hair and big dreams, I never would have been able to help other children on their own journeys. I savor the pages of memories I would not have been able to make had I not made it out of the hospital. By finding comfort in my past and using it to empower myself, I want to encourage other people to become the protagonists of their own stories and embrace who they are. I do not know who I will become in the next leg of my journey, but I am beyond thrilled to meet her.
Wow.
Yeah.
Elia.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you so much.
Hi. Thank you.
I've never heard the themes sounding so different. Great.
I love it. You know, we had to put it all together. And I do want to start by just giving a special thank you to Mike Alexander. He is an amazing producer and like multi-instrumentalist. He helped me to transpose a lot of the music to the trumpet, which is not an easy task. So shout out to him and thank you for that.
Amazing.
How long have you been playing?
I've been playing, let's see, since I was about 9. I played for like close to 10 years, took a very long hiatus. And then when the pandemic came, you know, at that time, you know, we were all in our house and finding creative things to do. And so I picked the trumpet back up, dusted it off, and decided to get back into it again.
How difficult was learning the theme songs of the other shows and days transposed to the trumpet?
It was a bit of a challenge, not going to lie, because a lot of the theme songs are in different instruments and keys. But it was really fun learning them. I like, they're fun. Bold and the Beautiful is a fun one. But it was great. I really enjoyed playing this.
So after you heard all like the numbers, did you have a favorite, or is it still Days of Our Lives?
You know, I got to say Days of Our Lives. Days of Our Lives is my favorite. So Days of Our Lives is great. They're all great and they're all iconic. So that's why I wanted to give the very best performance, because you hear the first note of any of these songs and you know what's about to come on TV. So
that you do. Well, on that note, I think we're going to get started, and we can't thank you enough for kicking this show off.
Thank you. Leah.
Thank you so much. And I want to give a dedication to my baby Danny, who passed away from cancer as well. But I wanted to just say thank you for this opportunity, because this is such a great cause. And just want to let everyone know who's been affected by it that my thoughts are with you. And also, I know you mentioned, Paul, that I believe, is it your mother's birthday? I'm Alan. I'm sorry, Alan.
My mother passed 17 years ago today.
So
yeah.
For her.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye, Leah.
Well, that was the way. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us for this very special live stream event. I'm Alan Locher.
And I'm Michael Fairman. And what an amazing lineup of guests we have tonight, who all have shared personal journeys with cancer, who've been touched by it, or portrayed heart-touching portrayals of the disease on your favorite soap operas.
Like I said, 17 years ago today, I lost my mother to lung cancer. And starting in November of 2021, with the loss of Lisa Brown, our daytime community has been hit hard over these past 3 years, losing some of our most beloved performers to this disease.
We chose tonight to bring together Daytime Stands Up in this benefit for Stand Up to Cancer in honor of Alan's mother and to all those families who've gone through the loss of a loved one or given emotional support to those going through cancer treatments. Here's a fantastic picture of Alan's mother with an Emmy, no less. What is the significance of this for you, Alan, this particular photo?
Well, you know, my mom was diagnosed in 2006 and, you know, working for As the World Turns and Guiding Light, Procter & Gamble was incredibly generous and offered 2 tickets to my mother and sister. And my mother really hadn't even started treatment. She couldn't speak. She got on an airplane, got to California. Here she is at the Daytime Emmy party at the Kodak Center. And she could not speak to the actors. She was writing notes, but the smile on her face said it all. And that's what the last year of her life was. We tried to bring smiles, and we brought her back to Amsterdam, where she was from, to see her friends and family, and just so important.
Thank you so much for sharing that. You know, there are many others joining us tonight who will share their personal stories and moments with their loved ones. And after realizing we lost so many, Alan and I decided to team up for this event tonight to pay tribute and show the strength and resilience of the daytime community from its stars, its fans, and friends.
As part of our fundraising efforts tonight, not only will we be showing you how to make a donation like you see right there up on your screen, but we are launching an exclusive eBay auction featuring one-on-one video calls with some daytime legends, cast meet and greet experiences, signed memorabilia, and so much more.
Thank you for joining us to raise awareness and much needed vital funds for cancer research. We have on tap tonight daytime legends, musical performances, heart-tugging testimonials.
Let's not forget that cancer is the second most common cause of death in the US and worldwide.
Stand Up to Cancer raises funds to accelerate the pace of research, and their mission is to detect, intercept, and treat cancers with the aspiration to cure all patients.
Well, Michael,
let's start the show and stand
up to cancer.
Okay.
Daytime television has been at the forefront of social issues. Look no further than in 1962 when Guiding Light's legendary Burt Bauer, played by the late Sharita Bauer, was diagnosed with uterine cancer. The storyline helped millions of women realize the importance of regular checkups and pap smear screenings. Sharita received a record amount of fan mail at the time. Keeping within that sisterhood of Guiding Light, two women who portrayed breast cancer storylines on Guiding Light are here with us tonight. Back in 2006, Kim Zimmer delivered a memorable performance when Riva found out she had breast cancer. And in 1992, Tina Sloan's character of Lillian Raines discovered a lump in her breast upon self-examination. This was one of the first daytime soaps to do that on screen. Please help Michael and I welcome our friends Tina Sloan and Kim Zimmer. Hello, ladies.
Hi, Kim. Tina.
Hello.
Hi.
Tina.
Yeah. Nice to see you.
Michael.
So nice to see you both. Thank you for doing this.
Of course. Anything, Alan.
Kim, Riva really struggled with learning her diagnosis, and she put everything off. I remember she kept putting it off. What was the biggest challenge for you as an actress to portray that when they handed you the ball and said she's going to put it off and she didn't want to go there? And
the whole thing, the fact that I didn't tell Josh was a mystery to me. I can't imagine getting a diagnosis like that and not wanting the person you loved most in the world to be there standing next to you.
Absolutely.
That was the hardest thing.
Absolutely.
And the fans reacted to that too. The fans were like, why are you not telling Josh? It made for great drama. I mean, it really did. It bonded Billy and Riva again in life. We brought in the wonderful character of Colleen, who was my by the book, cancer doctor. And there were a lot of wonderful things that came out of the storyline, but it's still, I had to deal with the fans who were like, tell Josh, tell him, so that was the hardest thing for me. Yeah, when I actually went back and watched the independent show that they did on Riva finding out she had breast cancer. And I was like, wow, I can't imagine not fighting that story today. You know what I mean? And how it was handled, but it ended up being written beautifully and And
it was remarkable. You were remarkable in it. It was beautiful. Yeah.
Well, and Tina, as I said, Lillian was one of the first women who actually did a self-examination on screen. Here it is your scene in 1992. What did it mean for you to play that story?
Oh, I thought it was wonderful. I mean, I was thrilled we were doing something about it. I mean, a lot of women get breast cancer, and to have been able to show that I would do it myself, do the self-exam. And I had the first mammogram. And I remember all the cute guys in the studio set up the cameras because I was naked to go smashed on the mammogram. And then they left the room while we did this scene, the whole crew. I love them for that. I thought it was, you can see, I thought it was just so sweet of them.
You look exactly the same as you did in 1992. How is that possible?
How's that possible?
33 years.
Do you have a portrait of Dorian Gray somewhere hanging in your apartment?
But you never know, Kim. You never know what I might have.
Can you both speak to the reaction and response? You mentioned a little bit about Kim, about Reba, about the reaction and response from the fans you got. Tina, did you get letters at the time? Because we didn't have social media. And Kim, like, did women reach out to you? Did you kind of react?
Yes.
Did you?
I got phone calls at the studio saying, "I'm having a double mastectomy. I'd like to speak to Lillian Raines." And they'd go up to get me on the set, and I'd come down and say, "Oh, I'm praying for you. Good luck. Brilliant that you did this." And then little young girls would write me and say, "I found a lump, but my doctor won't believe me because I'm too young." You know, and then people would say, "I never had time to cry for myself because I had children and a husband when I went through it. But by crying for you, I was finally able to cry for myself," which was a wonderful feeling that we brought that out. Right, Kim?
Yeah, definitely.
Wow. Wow.
Amazing.
I mean, and it's crazy to think of what Guiding Light did, you know, truly, you know, going as far back with Bert and telling these stories, how important they are in educating the public, men and women.
Every day after we do our show, I would get up and say, "Please have a mammogram. Go to the American Cancer Society." They gave us wonderful, I'm sure you got thousands of them, Kim, but wonderful awards. And I even went to Italy. The Italian American Cancer Society brought me over to Italy for a week. It was just a wonderful time because it was the Breast Cancer Society there.
Yes.
I mean, it's a worldwide problem. In Japan, more women die from breast cancer than anywhere because they're embarrassed. They don't want to tell their husbands. Italy was number 2 because it makes them less of a woman, or well, it does.
Statistic is, I guess, 1 in 8 women will, you know, have breast cancer.
Whoa.
And men too. I mean, my feeling is that more men got breast cancer, we'd be further along in our science. You know, I mean, I hate to put that out there politically, but you know, when you look at it, there's some truth to it. I mean, I have a lot. Oh, I was going to say something, but
say it, Kim. You've never held back before.
The floor is yours.
Oh, geez. I was diagnosed with breast cancer on November 6th. And if it wasn't for a wonderful circle of friends that I have, and not to mention my husband, A.C. Weary, and my family, Rachel, Max, and Jake, who call me every day, I would have fallen apart. But because of my circle that I had, fabulous doctors, early detection, I did have a mastectomy, and I have my last infusion on Tuesday.
Oh, Kim. Wow.
And I have really nice C's instead of droopy D's now.
Leave it to you.
I think that's going to be the name of my book. No more droopy D's.
Follow up. No more droopy D's.
You know, you really,
so funny. No.
What you said about AC and your family and that circle.
So and that's what I would say to anyone that may get a diagnosis like I got. It's so important that you find a support system. I mean, call me. Find someone that you can speak honestly and truthfully to. That will listen to you. I mean, I'm a tough broad, and I handled this, the way anybody would expect me to. But again, if I didn't have the friends that I have, the support system that I have, the fabulous doctors, a fantastic plastic surgeon, I would have fallen apart. And I'm here to say, early detection, early detection, early detection. Early detection.
Yes.
Get your mammograms. Get them soon.
Good for you, Kim.
Yeah, you're
so brave.
Yeah, there's so many people tonight that you'll hear stories of such, like Kim is saying, who have that same thing. If it wasn't for my family or having people, because everyone doesn't always have that.
Exactly.
What Kim is saying, like she was fortunate to have that, even though it's so awful and difficult. There's many people that don't. So you'll hear that, right? So it's kind of like,
there's so many, social media has so many sites now and places. I would go to my doctor and I'd say, okay, what about that? And she'd be like, get off social media. And I'd be like, better armed than not. I want to know the answers to these
You have to be
questions.
your best advocate.
That's right.
Absolutely. You want
That's
information. You want to know. You want to have questions to ask. So
You remember Lillian didn't have anybody but Ed, and that caused the big upset in Springfield. She didn't want to tell Beth because Beth would make it all about herself, which she would have. Oh, my mother. Oh, poor me. So I wouldn't tell her. And I remember that and thinking I wouldn't have told her. And there was Ed who found out. I didn't tell him, but he found out, and that changed the whole dynamic of Guiding Light, didn't it?
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
ladies, as Lillian and Reva helped many women, Kim, your honesty tonight.
Oh,
has
yeah.
helped many
Thank
women.
you.
Well,
And-
I'll be speaking more about it down the road at some point. I don't know in what context yet, but it is a story I want to share. So.
Oh, yes. People need it.
Yeah.
And
Mine will be
it's
funny,
your,
though.
It's your story to tell.
It'll have a little humor.
I'll have some humor.
QPDs, you've already done that.
Yeah.
It's your story to
Well
tell.
done.
And thank you both so much for spending
you.
time
Both
for
so
this
much.
important cause. We love you.
Love him.
Love you. Thanks for having me. Tina,
Pray for
look
you, Kim.
beautiful.
Thank you, and I'll pray for you.
Thank you so much.
In my
We hope,
80s.
this week
80s,
is
Kim.
go get it this week, Kim.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Tina.
Bye, Tina. Okay, let's take
Wow.
a moment to
Yes.
from that. We're wishing Kim all the best as she goes through this. And I appreciate her honesty is really amazing.
Our next guest, Michael.
Yes, throughout its 51-year history, The Young and the Restless has given us several cancer storylines. 2 actresses who portrayed breast cancer storylines are with us tonight. Eileen Davidson, who plays Ashley Abbott, and Sharon Case, who plays Sharon Collins. Here they are. Welcome, Eileen and Sharon. Hi.
Hi.
Hi,
Sharon.
You.
Hi, Eileen.
Hi, Alan.
Thank
Hi,
you both for being here so much.
Yes, of course. It's
Thank
such
you
an
for having
honor.
us.
By the way, that was unbelievable because I was backstage and I was able to hear and see what was going on. For Kim to say that was an incredible moment of vulnerability, and I didn't expect that. I mean, and when she started talking about it, I thought she was going to say this was a few years back. I had no idea she was in process. So kudos to her for being so honest.
For sure.
And, sharing information.
Very brave.
These stories are truly, you both, doing your stories on Young and the Restless and our personal journeys in real life help others, no matter what it is about that journey. What were both of your initial thoughts when you were told that Ashley and Sharon would be diagnosed with breast cancer? Eileen, if you want to go first.
Well, I remember Ashley was getting a mammogram during Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and that was part of the story, and that's where she found it. I thought it was terrific. I mean, I love to do anything that's informative and can help people, whatever. So, I loved being involved in that kind of a story that mattered and could change things and help people. What about you, Sharon?
Well, when I was told that Sharon Newman would have the story, I was surprised. It kind of happened suddenly. It came out of nowhere. I didn't know that had been on the table. But what I really liked about her story is it was unique to her, and everybody's story is different. And we didn't, on Young and the Restless, tell the exact same story with every character that we've written about this disease. And I think that that's correct, because a lot of people have a very different experience and journey. And the other thing I think that I really liked about Sharon's story was it really accented on support and how much support she had around her husband, her ex-husband, her children, her mother-in-law. Everybody really gathered around her and gave her that support. And it was written that way, where Sharon used that and leaned on that. And that was how she muddled through that.
Eileen, I remember in the story, Ashley lost her hair, right? She was wearing the turban, or she lost her hair. Do you remember, did you do a lot of research for playing the journey that Ashley went through? How much did you get into the weeds on this?
I did some research. I mean, not really a lot, because I was kind of playing it as it came. to kind of find, I was just letting myself realize what was happening in the moment as well. How would I feel if that was happening to me? So, I mean, I was just kind of, what would I do if I was suddenly going to start losing my hair, and how traumatic that would be. Hair is such a big deal for people in general, but especially women, and just what it signifies. I also remember that they had Ashley make a video for her daughter because she thought she might not make it. So there was that kind of, gravitas to the whole situation. I do remember telling the Powers, it was a different head writer at the time, because they had mentioned maybe me shaving my head. And I said, it really depends on how long you're going to take this story. I'm not going to shave it if you're going to change your mind in like a week, people.
Right.
We ended up compromising. I had to get a very, very, very short haircut.
Wow.
So that's
remember this. And I remember her taking, she showed her bald hair. It was like a big moment back then. Definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's powerful for others to see who are going through it, to see that, like you said about Kim, vulnerability.
Yeah, exactly. And what Sharon said too, Ashley had a lot of support from Brad at the time, and Tracy and different people in her life.
Mm-hmm.
That's very important.
Sharon, you had a standalone episode, right, which told the story of a woman preparing for her first round of chemo and her concerns for losing her loved ones.
Yes.
What do you remember about that particular episode?
Well, that was written as Sharon's dream, which was great because we could explore all aspects of her psyche and what she was concerned about and worried about. And so I remember that part of it being a dream, but I remember she dreamed that she saw herself dying in a hospital bed. She dreamed about a variety of types of reactions that people around her would have, friends and family. And I think that's probably exactly what you would be dreaming of, because that's what I would be thinking of. And I do the same thing, like Eileen said, as an actress, I put myself in that situation. How would I feel about this? What would I be thinking of? What would be haunting me at night in my dreams? And that was great that we did tell a dream, because, when we have these hauntingly horrible things happen sometimes in our lives, unfortunately, they appear in our dreams. They haunt us there.
Eileen, did you get a lot of emails and letters, or there was an email, letters and emails and mail and all that back then?
Well, it doesn't feel like it was that long ago, but clearly it was.
Yes, clearly
I know, right? Yes, I got a lot of letters from women saying that the storyline saved their lives, that because it was specifically about her getting a mammogram, and that they just said, I'm going to get a mammogram too. And they said, I saved one. It was hanging in my office until recently, from a woman who said that because of the storyline she checked, and she ended up having breast cancer, and it saved her life. And I got several letters like that. And then because we're delayed 3 years in Europe, I got a slew of letters from women in Europe saying that it saved their lives, which is like, you're like, what? You're an actress, you're playing a story, and then all of a sudden it's elevated to something really quite unbelievable.
I'm curious, both of you playing stories like this, did it have you, just because, the writers who are writing it and telling the story, did it make you think about your own lives in any way? Like, did it enlighten you to people's experiences with breast cancer or something like that?
My grandmother actually had breast cancer, and she had a mastectomy. This was in the 50s, believe it or not. And she survived. Wow. So it's always been kind of in the background of my life. And then I had a sister who, after the storyline, actually passed away because of complications because of breast cancer. So, I mean, I think I've been touched by it. I found out that I have the BRCA gene. Oh. And so I had my ovaries removed. So yes, this has definitely affected my life, breast cancer, in many, many ways. And kind of part of that story is playing a breast cancer survivor on a television show.
Well, it is something that so many women are affected by. We need to remember to get our mammograms and to have our genes checked, the BRCA gene, with a variety of others that they can check now as well. And
you can do that through 23andMe and different ancestry. They actually check for the BRCA gene now. So it's not that expensive. It's not that expensive. And I had all that, I keep telling all the people in my family, please go get checked. Yeah. Just find out if you have the gene. Knowledge is power.
It certainly is.
Preventative.
Telling these stories certainly helps. It raises the awareness. I had a lot of fan mail just telling me how much it raised the awareness, and that they felt, these women, that they should have been paying more attention, and they certainly will now, and they're going out and getting their MAM now. I had a lot of others tell me that this storyline, and I'm sure yours as well, Eileen, it becomes a support system for people who are affected by this, either themselves or someone in their family. They're watching stories at our show about how we're getting through it, and people watch this and it helps them to that extent. It's a support for them to get through it.
What normalizes it to a certain degree, yes, where people are talking about it and it's on a television show you see every day. So yeah, so it's not something that is just like, so unusual. They realize they can relate to it more.
And this is the great part of your job, right? That you're able to make a difference to other people as an actress, right? You're an actress because you enjoy acting, but you can also somehow make a difference when you get handed this kind of role, potentially in people's lives. That must be rewarding in a way. That it's kind of what you're doing, Amazing. Well, you two were so great in the stories.
Thanks, Michael.
Huh?
I said thank you.
Oh.
Thank you for the compliment.
Thank you. Yeah,
Sharon, what was that story, just out of curiosity? When did you do that?
It was in 2020.
Yeah.
It started in 2019. And we had the break, the long quarantine break. When we came back from that was when we picked it back up, but wrapped it up.
Okay.
But still so interesting, Sharon, that you're saying about it encouraging people to go get tested still in 2020. Like, you would think we have to remind people that they need to do this. It's crazy that we're still.
Not everyone has realized that this is what you need to be doing. Young women haven't really plugged into it yet in some cases, or any age really, but any amount of raising awareness helps, until every single woman realizes this is part of your life as a female, and this is what you need to do.
It's like going to the dentist once a year or twice a year. I mean, it's just kind of like part of your life, really. You normalize going
every 6 months.
Right. Go get your mammogram, girls and boys.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you both.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for doing this. God bless you both.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Stay well.
Bye, Sharon.
Bye, Eileen.
Bye, Eileen. Bye, Sharon.
Bye.
Hi, I'm Lori Fisher. I'm a longtime fan of Days of Our Lives and have fond childhood memories of watching Another World with my mom. 2 months ago, I was diagnosed with metaplastic carcinoma, a rare and aggressive form of breast cancer. I'm currently undergoing chemotherapy and immunotherapy treatments and hope to be cancer-free by the end of the year. I wish to thank all the members of the daytime community who are here lending their support to this worthy cause. Please join them as we all stand up to cancer.
Everybody, well, I have just a very special guest joining us for our daytime Stands Up benefit for Stand Up to Cancer. Erika Slezak is with me, joining me from her home in
Happy
Connecticut.
to be here.
Thank you so much, Erika, for being here tonight. We really wanted to put something together to honor all of the stars of daytime that we lost to cancer, all of those that have gone through it and survived, and to give inspiration to anybody who's gone through it. And daytime soap operas through the years have told breast cancer stories and cancer stories, and yours as Vicky's was one of the most memorable ever. And I wanted to just get your thoughts on when you were handed that story back in 2000.
Yeah.
What was your thought at that time? Like,
well, Agnes was always, even though she was no longer head writer, she was always involved with the show. And one of her most, I think, important traits was that she wanted to incorporate current stories, no matter how hard, no matter how silly, no matter how whatever. And she wanted to tell real stories. I mean, she started that way on One Life to Live and on All My Children. So when they suggested the breast cancer story, she said, absolutely, go for it. I did some research, and I was, how do I say this, honored that she let me play the part, that she didn't give it to somebody else. It was a very good story to tell, because Vicky, who had always been strong and by herself and tough and I can deal with anything, suddenly couldn't deal with it. She was afraid, and there was the whole relationship with Ben that was going on, and she didn't want him to be a part of it, so that was separate. And I remember the day that Vicky checked into the hospital, the last shot was me sitting on the end of the bed, sort of dangling my feet over the end of the hospital bed, completely alone, because she didn't want anybody else to know. Ben was around in the hospital and eventually found out that she was there and wanted to be a part of her life, but she didn't want it. She couldn't deal with it. It was a frightening thing for her, because it had been caught too late to treat. So she had to have a mastectomy and a reconstruction. And she had never been faced with such a very personal trauma. I mean, yes, she had Nikki and all the others, but this was a physical thing that she could not control. And it was a very powerful story, I think.
Didn't she sing "I Will Survive"?
I sang that at Crossroads.
Yeah.
But I think that's what she was singing to herself. I will survive. And she was desperately trying to believe it, as we all do when we deal with something horrible.
It was, yes. And I remember she couldn't face it, and she couldn't face it, and she was trying to figure out how to do it. And there was also the older woman, younger man thing, right? They played into it. She didn't want Ben to see her like that.
Oh, exactly.
That was another great theme that they told, that women probably face in their lives.
Yeah.
And then to have Dorian, of all people, I remember being the person that kind of talked to her and helped her.
Yeah. My frenemy, my dearest frenemy. We were either at each other's throats or glued together. And in that case, we were glued together. She, having been a doctor, was very concerned and participated. And that was enormously helpful.
Did you get at the time letters? Did you get letters? What kind of outreach was there? Because we didn't have social media back in 2000.
No, I got mail like you could not believe, from people who had it, who had suffered through it, people who had mothers and sisters and daughters who had been through it. And some of them were so powerful and so personal. And they were hard to read, some of them. But I tried to answer as many as I could, because these people needed help. And even if they were looking to a fake person on television, a character, you do what you can to help. Yeah, I had a lot of mail.
Was there one part of that story that was more difficult to play than the others, or was the whole thing hard for you to play?
I have close friends who have been through this. I did not want to reach out to them to ask, because I thought that's too personal. And for Vicky, I think it was the whole, once it was over, it was the whole dealing with having a reconstructed breast and having to deal with Ben. And when they finally got back together again, she was terrified. She didn't want him to touch her. And Mark Derwin, God bless him, was so good and so completely understanding of the situation. And even though I used to call him my favorite 14-year-old, he was such a clown in so many ways. Probably still is. I haven't talked to him in a while, but he doesn't change. He was the character as he played Ben was so supportive. And he was a doctor, well, the character was a doctor too. So I think that was incredibly hard for her to allow him back into her life because there was a part of her that wasn't real.
I also wanted to touch upon Andrea Evans, who is one of the people we're honoring.
She grew up so beautifully, and she was so talented that the person that she really was, who was a kind and loving woman, could play so many different levels of Tina. And I had such admiration for her for that. It wasn't in her nature to be Tina, but she played the hell out of it. She really did. Her first day on the show, her hair was down to the back of her knees. She was just a kid. And she grew up to be a wonderful woman. And I think one of the proudest moments of her life is when she got Kylie. She was so happy. And Audrey, her mother, used to bring Kylie to the studio. All the way from California, would fly in. And I first met Kylie when she was a year old, and I watched her slowly grow up. And it was wonderful. And Andrea was a fabulous mother. I never met Steve. I had never met Steve. I wrote to him after she passed. And he wrote me back a very, very sweet letter. But when she met Steve, it was like her life was almost complete. And then she had Kylie, and that was complete. And it is so, so sad that she died so young.
Erika, you had a message that you wanted to tell everybody about Stand Up to Cancer and its importance.
Yes. I have, as I mentioned before, many friends who have suffered from breast cancer. And the only message that I can give everyone is that women must get mammograms. Now they used to say starting at 50. Now they say starting at 40. As far as I'm concerned, you should have them all the time. They are not harmful. They have now incredible 3D imaging, so they're not really painful. But they can detect the tiniest little thing so early, and it is desperately important to get a mammogram every year. That's my advice.
Erika, thank you so much for taking some time today. I just want to say that from all of us in the data community, and so many people have reached out to me, we're sending you so much love and condolences on the passing of Amanda.
Thank you. I didn't want to talk about this.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I thank all the fans and the people who have written to me. I've saved every single card. I've responded to every single person, because the amount of people who reached out to me is just astonishing. I have a pile that, it's 2 feet high of cards and letters that people wrote to me. And I'm very, very grateful, because this is the hardest thing that's ever happened to me in my life. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Erika.
Okay, take care, Michael.
Oops. That was powerful, Michael.
Yeah, I mean, it was very tough. And we all knew that Erika was going through a difficult time, and then to be so gracious to be part of our event tonight, to want to be there, to lend her support, to stand up to cancer. She really wanted to do it, and she's been going through, as you know, a very difficult time. So there were just so many aspects of it, from what she revealed about during the breast cancer storyline that she played, and then of course losing her on-screen half sister Andrea Evans, and then her own daughter tragically. So it was just, yeah.
Yeah, and the resounding theme of the night is get a mammogram.
Get a mammogram.
Yeah, I
Get
mean,
on
every woman we've had,
yeah,
and
you'll hear that from so many people that I sat down with or talked to. You just don't realize it when you're in it. Like, oh, if I would have, that early warning sign, if I would have listened to my body, if I would have gone, even if I didn't have a warning sign, I should just routinely get checked. So that's kind of
absolutely. If you want to take it away.
Yes. Speaking of One Life to Live, we were all so saddened to learn of the passing of One Life to Live favorite Camar de los Reyes, who played Antonio Vega. He leaves behind his wife, actress Sherry Sohm, and their 2 children. And joining us tonight are 2 of his dear friends and former co-stars, Michael Easton from General Hospital and Trevor St. John from The Young and the Restless. Please welcome Trevor and Michael. Hi, guys.
Hi, Michael.
Hi, Trevor.
Michael. Hi, Al.
Hi, Trevor. Hi, Michael. Thank you so much for being here. I know you both had a wonderful long friendship with Camar. What are some of your fondest memories of your time with your pal?
So you want to go or you want me to go?
You go for it.
It brought a smile to your face right away there. So
yeah, it was a 30-year friendship with Camar. We did our first movie together in 1990. I was scared and I was quiet, and I was instantly drawn to his bravado and his sense of himself. I mean, Camar was larger than life, and he loved life. And when you're with him, you loved life too. And there was always a little more oxygen in the room when Camar was in it, and this world was a dizzier place because of him. He was the best man at my wedding, godfather to his son, Michael. And his loss was profound on all of us. There hasn't been a day gone by that I haven't thought of him and his family and what he brought to this world, and the contributions he made not only to this acting community. I mean, he loved being an actor, and he was a great actor. I always like to say Camar was such a good actor, they cast him as a priest. Not just once, not twice, like 7 times he was a priest. I mean, he was often shirtless, but if you needed a
shirtless priest,
you needed a ridiculously handsome man of God, Camar was your guy. And I loved him so much. But I remember just a quick story. It's the first story. We did this little movie, and we would come home every night, and we were staying in the producer's apartment because the producer was out of town. It was the kind of movie where the producer didn't even want to be in town during the movie he was producing. And we stayed in this little apartment down in Chinatown in Los Angeles. We had no cars. We took the bus, and we got to know each other, and we'd sit on this fire escape, and we would sit and have a beer, and we'd look out and watch the sunrise every morning and just go, you think we can make it in this town? And I think, 34 years later, I think about his career and his relationship, his marriage to Sherry, and these beautiful children, Kaylin and Michael and John. And all I can say is, yeah, bro, you made it.
That's beautiful.
Trevor, what can you share?
Well, I not any specific memories. I think he was such a deep feeling person, and I don't know if he'd like me using this descriptor, but he was really a sweet man, and kind, and a genuine person, and such a good friend. And and he would confide in me a lot, and we had a nice relationship that way. That he would he felt so comfortable with me that he would come to me with things he was feeling, things he was dealing with, and and he was just he just had a deep well of feeling, and yeah, I count him as a good friend, and I agree with Michael. There hasn't been a day since his passing that I haven't thought of him, and I miss him terribly.
Yeah, I know we I've talked to so many people for the benefit about, how people are grieving, or, how they heard about their loved one or friend passing.
57, 58 through 62, then 57.
I apologize, guys. I'm at the studio right now, and the voice of God is raining down.
Down on us. When you learned of his passing, Michael, it was, what was that like for you in that moment? And did you reach out to Sherry? Were you like, how were you in that moment, and how did you get through it yourself? Because you were, like you said, the best man. You were so close.
Well, brothers.
I was holding his hand when he passed, and he was surrounded by family. And friends, and there was so much love around him. I mean, he touched so many lives. I mean, Trevor knows at his memorial, I mean, it was the biggest room at Forest Lawn, and they couldn't even fit everybody in. There was people stretched out all the way to outside. People came up that hadn't seen him in 20 years. That was the effect. So many of the One Life cast members came, and cast from All American, which extraordinarily enough, he loved to work, and he went to work 2 weeks before he passed at All American. He shot his last episode there because that's what kept him going: the love of his family, the love of his children, his wife, and work. And he fought to the end. I mean, he was fierce to the end. He never talked about being sick. He always talked about healing. He always said he was healing. He wasn't sick. He was going to get better. And even though the odds were stacked from the very beginning, and it's still really hard for me to talk about, but I was in awe of his strength and his resolve. I would have shut down long before he did. I mean, he fought to the very, very end. And
does it surprise either one of you the way you've described him? I can't imagine that it surprises you that he treated it that way, and had that strength.
No, not at all. Not at all. No, that's exactly how I would expect he would deal with it.
Yeah.
Right. And he's another one, we talk about people, he was always in great shape, right? Like, he was always in such wonderful shape. Trevor kept himself so together. And it's like, and the people are like, oh, wait, he had cancer? Like, right? There's that misnomer of like, oh, this person, but he looks so this. Right? Because he really kept himself together, yet he was suffering through this, Yeah,
no, I think we all, like I said, he was bigger than life. He was the strongest person inside and out that I ever knew. And when it got him, I think it made us all realize just the sort of insidious potential of this disease, and that it can get everybody, and how life is so fragile, and to appreciate every day you have. And I think probably a lot like Trevor's felt ever since his passing, little things don't bother me so much anymore because I'm still here, right? And I know he would have given anything to have one more day,
Of course.
Do you both have a favorite, inland view, backstage story, whether, dressing room or working opposite?
I don't know if there's any we could share.
Yeah, or PG enough, or PG-13.
The ones that pop to mind, no, I don't think so.
That is totally fair.
Get it.
Needless to say, they once scheduled all of us to work on St. Patrick's Day in New York.
Oh.
And we took a long lunch that day, and I think that was
decided that St. Patrick's Day was slightly more important than work.
It was when that second and third round came.
Like nobody came back.
Yeah.
We worked almost every day, but St. Patrick's Day is once a year.
Needless to say, they never scheduled us all on St. Patrick's Day again. We used to share dressing rooms in New York. It wasn't as fancy as it is out here in Los Angeles, and Kamar and I shared a dressing room, and next to us was Trevor and Dan Gauthier. And we had a lot of fun. We spent a lot of time together in these little tiny room with no windows, and it was a lot of fun.
Who's the biggest prankster?
Oh, it was good to that.
Yeah, I don't know if there were many pranks. As we were just often just silly and ridiculous with each other. You know, it wasn't so many pranks. It's just having a good time in between scenes. Sometimes during, but and often in the dressing room. Sometimes during work, after work. For sure. And it was mostly just the rapport, just the kind of the camaraderie and the screwing around. It wasn't. I don't think there were many pranks pulled, but yeah, we had a good time.
I had seen Kamar with his children. He was a great dad. I heard he was just a really great dad to those boys. Can you speak to him as a dad, like with his sons?
Yeah, I mean, Kamar really led by example, and he was. I mean, that's one of the last things he said to me was, I have so much to teach those boys, and I'm sorry.
No, don't apologize at all.
No, I just so appreciate you coming here tonight to honor him. I wanted to honor him. We wanted to honor him.
No, and listen, I think Trevor and I feel say this is on you guys. This is amazing what you've done.
Yeah.
It's amazing, this contribution that you guys have made, Michael and Alan. I'm so impressed by how you've pulled this together. Your hearts are so in the right place, and I'm in awe of you.
Too many, Michael. We've lost way too many. And Kamar in his 50s, Marnie Schulenberg, who is 37 years old. We need to stand up to cancer, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you go through this and you advocate for yourself and fight for yourself and get, do your checkups and do all these things, because a lot of this is preventative. In Kamar's case, it wasn't, but there are other people is. And if you feel like it's not going right, advocate for yourself and find somebody that will solve this problem for you and get treatment, get your help. And then we just got to raise the money to help stop this.
We do.
Yes. And I was going to say, life is so fragile, right? That's what you take away from this too.
Yeah.
Like losing him is so young, it's so fragile. But thank you both so much for being here tonight.
Yeah. And I want to second Michael's sentiment there. I commend you both for this. Yeah. Really well done. Well done.
Life is also really beautiful, and we want to have more of it. We all want to have more days.
We want to celebrate each other for sure. And thank you for mentioning the donations. The link is right there down below. We need to the fund research and make sure these gentlemen and Sherry do not lose loved ones like they have. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you both.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Trevor.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Oops.
Bye, guys. Oh, bye, Michael. Well,
yeah.
Our next guests have gone on their own personal journeys with cancer and come out the other side. Days of Our Lives, Linsey Godfrey, Sarah, was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma in 2006, and One Life to Live favorite and former Days co-star, Kassie DePaiva, was diagnosed with leukemia in 2016. They both have their own cancer survivor stories. They're with us tonight. Please welcome Kassie and Linsey.
So we just have Kassie at the moment, but hello, beautiful Kassie DePaiva.
Kassie, where's Linsey? Okay.
Hi, hopefully Linsey will be joining us. We have reached out.
Sure. I'm just so moved by Trevor and Michael's tribute to the lovely and powerful Kamar. He was an amazing.
I introed you, and like, here she is. Hi.
Thank you both.
Hi, Linsey.
How beautiful. How are you?
I am good. It's so good to see your beautiful face.
It's good to see yours too. I'm laughing because my accent's going to be so thick in about 4 seconds.
I'm sitting here in a hotel. The lighting looks like horrendous, but I'm like, okay.
Well, you were saying, I'm sorry, Kassie, you were saying about obviously you heard the tribute to Kamar.
Oh my gosh. It was beautiful. And I know for a fact, because those boys were on the other end of the hall, and I know that they had a big time and their friendships went deep. And, you know, it wasn't a matter of what they were saying about being pranksters. It's just that they're so quick-witted and smart that which made their humor just came out. So I can remember running lines with Trevor, and we would get halfway through something and he would do something. He's so funny, and he always plays this serious kind of guy. But yeah, Kamar was beautiful. And I knew Kamar even before One Life to Live. Back between Guiding Light and One Life to Live, I worked at a gym in West Hollywood, and I got up at 5 o'clock in the morning and opened. And Kamar was a bodybuilder in a
right.
Yeah, I remember you sharing that.
And he had these beautiful curls. His hair was down to like here. It was locks. I'm like going, oh my gosh. And then when we came to New York, it was like, oh my gosh, I know you. Do you remember me? You know.
It's amazing how we're all connected, right? Like, look at how the one liked all of us in daytime kind of did.
And I remember meeting when Linsey came to One Life to Live, to Days of Our Lives. I remember reading her story in Soap Opera Digest, and I didn't want to just come up and go, oh gosh, you know, I beat cancer too. But we did the yes, and it was such a beautiful experience, and it was so emotional being with you. And I was so honored to be with you that night.
I was too. It was such a, you meet people and it's usually their experiences like someone they knew, someone like their grandparent or their parent or their sibling or whatever, but to be in this genre and with somebody else who had been through it and been through the same types of cancer, right? Both of us having blood cancer.
Sure.
And getting to share it with Nadia too, right? Whose father had leukemia. It was just such a beautiful experience to come into this show where, first of all, I never felt like such a warm welcome in my entire life like I did stepping onto the set of Days of Our Lives. Like, and yeah, Kassie came right out immediately. We immediately saw each other and we're like, oh, we were just
right.
We were family immediately. It was such a beautiful experience, and to share this thing that we had both like persevered through on top of that was just, it made it even more special. We all miss you so much.
Thank you. I miss you, and I miss the show. I miss working, but I don't miss cancer. That's for sure.
No. That's right. That's right. Well, I love, Linsey, that you said you both had each other, and you both, Kassie went up to you and shared. Both of you, Kassie and Linsey, what made you decide to be public about it? And did it help with what you were going through by being so public?
I think
Linsey, if you want to.
Yeah, well, because I have my ribbon tattooed on the back of my neck, so it's kind of always been a little bit of a starter. And I was so grateful because Brad Bell over at Bold chose to make that a huge storyline because the character I was named after had lost her battle to cancer. And so when I came into daytime, it was just something that was already known about me. It was, two out of the 11 tattoos I have to do with cancer. And so I always just wanted to be vocal about it. And I just felt like, in general, I think with all the things that I talk about, normalization is just, it makes people not feel alone. I didn't know anybody when I had cancer that had ever had cancer. And I didn't know anybody my age, that's for sure, because I was only 18. So then to find somebody, and, Kassie was so new in her
journey,
right? Just finished, and we were only, gosh, your hair was this long, so it had only been like maybe a year, I think, when we.
You said it was this long. I say it was about that long.
Okay. like in the front, maybe, but like maybe. But yeah, so it just like, and I don't know how to. I have zero cool. Like I just don't like ever. I don't know. I don't know if it's like giving me credit as much as it is like.
That helps you to get it out, don't you? Like I think you're one like right.
I felt like my mom always said like we bond through telling people things, and I'm such a storyteller, and so for me it was just that was my way of connecting with people who had been through something or had experienced something. And so then to have Kassie, where I was like, we could, and you know, different cancers, but same type of cancer, right? We both had blood cancer. And to talk to somebody who understood was just, it was the first time that I really had somebody who I connected with and who felt close in age to me that I could chat to about something that she had also experienced. And you experienced it as an adult, right? I was just becoming an adult.
Yeah, I was diagnosed at 55, which I can't even believe. I'm 63 now. I can't even believe that I had it. It feels so long ago.
That's
but
so foreign.
When I was diagnosed, I was working on days. I just come back after they let me go for like 6 months or something. So I just come back for like 3 weeks. And how I found out I had cancer is I was riding in a chairlift at a country thing up at Hunter Mountain, and I felt these lumps under my arms on the side of my breast, and I thought, well, that's weird. So I had to go back to work in Los Angeles. This was in New York. And so I set an appointment with my OBGYN, whatever, and 3 weeks later, I went back and had my appointment. She goes, well, maybe you should get those checked out. So I went in and I had they did a biopsy, and 2 days or a day later, they said, well, got good news and bad news. It's not breast cancer, but you have abnormal cells in your blood. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? And they said, well, it could be lymphoma or leukemia. And at that point, it's like, wah, 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 wah. So the hard part, I think, when you are diagnosed with cancer is sharing that with the people that love you.
Right.
Because they immediately want to fix it, want to be there for you, but you don't want them to feel sorry for you.
Right.
I mean, I remember sitting, having to call my mom and say, mom and dad, and say, listen, sit down. I've got leukemia, but don't you feel sorry for me? I've lived this wonderful life. I've done, I've got a great husband. I've had this wonderful career. I've done everything I've ever wanted to do. You provided so much for me. And I don't know, this is not how I would like to go, but if this is the way that God chooses, then I'm okay with it. And I felt more at peace during my journey with cancer and closer to God than I ever felt in my life. And of course, my husband was amazing through my journey, but I didn't choose to actually go public, I want to say, until I went through my first month. I had a full month of chemo.
Right.
And I was in the hospital the first month, and I wanted to make sure I was going to live. It was like, okay, well, let me just see if I can have some better news to report. And I remember putting it out on my blog or whatever it was at the time, and that felt good to share. And I do believe it's important to share that.
Yeah.
But I did not want to. I wanted to wait until I had definite answers.
Well, that makes perfect sense. And that, just the fact that you both did share it, right, Michael? You help without, even if it's an intent, you are helping by sharing your story.
Was there a moment in your journey? I know both of you are great actresses. You love to work, all of that. And I wonder what it was like in the journey. We're worried you may not be able to have the career you love, you were so passionate about, because of cancer might change your appearance or the unpredictability of the treatments.
Oh my
and
God.
you had to be on set. Like, what was that part like for both of you? How did you cope with it, if at all? Like, Linsey, what was that like for you?
Well, so I was 18 and I had just finished recurring on this NBC show, and everyone I knew from the show had gone on, like Leighton Meester got Gossip Girl, and like all these other kids, like everybody went on, and I was supposed to launch, and then I didn't because I got sick, and much like Kassie, like it took a long time. And the early 2000s was a very rough time. I don't think we realize or like really go back and think about, like, the early 2000s was so obsessed with aesthetics and how you looked, and you couldn't have short hair. You couldn't, like, this was not cute. This was not the thing. And so I was very, very worried. I was very worried I wasn't going to work. I was very worried that the delay that it was going to take, because it was, I did 12 rounds of chemo for over the course of 6 months. And then after that, I had to negotiate with my oncologist, because I was like, all right, I'm done. I'm out of here. And he was like, not yet. And I was like, I am. Take the port out of me, or I'm pulling it out myself. So yeah, like I definitely thought, I knew I had to wait for like my hair to grow, because that was a major point of contention. Like people just were not hiring me. I got some jobs here or there that matched with that aesthetic, but it was just such a weird time socially. Now it wouldn't matter. Yeah. But yeah, I was definitely worried that I wouldn't work. I was definitely worried that my momentum was gone. I was definitely worried. But I was also, because I was so young, I was also a little oblivious to everything in a very great way. And like my mom had to tell me that I had cancer. I couldn't imagine that now being a mom, because I was underage when I got diagnosed. And we had been trying to get answers for probably about 2 years, and I had just been pushed aside because I was healthy. And healthy appearing and healthy looking. And it took, by the time they finally diagnosed me, I was stage 3. I was just like littered with cancer from like the top of my neck to like below my spleen. So yeah, I think that was really it. And it was hard to like kind of sit on the sidelines a bit too, because I wasn't working. I had just finished a show, and I was going to go do my first ever like movie. And I just had to sit on the sidelines. And I had a wonderful manager at the time who would just send me scripts that I would normally be auditioning for, which some people were like, man. I was like, no, it made me feel like I was like in it still. Like I got to read and be like, oh, I would have done good on that one too. Like, but yeah. And I had like a weird thing about wearing a wig too. Like I just wouldn't do it. It felt weird. It felt false, which is so strange, but I did.
was the same way. I did not want to wear a wig.
It made me feel weird.
Cancer. Mine was my chemo started in July, so it was hot.
Oh heck yeah!
So
my chemo started in July as well.
Look at you two, ladies.
All this hair.
All that hair. Both of you beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing your journeys with us.
Yes, thank you so much.
It means the world to Michael and I, and to the audience watching.
And not for nothing, getting to get paired up with Kassie DePaiva was pretty exciting, you guys.
Well,
I would have come here for anything.
I'm so happy to see you. And I tell you what, it is all about donations, because every little bit helps save a life, especially with Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. My diagnosis was on a molecular level, and they're just learning so much about cancers. And also I had acute myeloid leukemia, and it's not in stage 1, 2, 3, or 4. It's just, you have it.
That's just it.
And the money raised is for research to
wonderful
to do that. And don't forget, there is an eBay auction as well. Thank you both so much for being here.
Bye. Thank you.
Love you. Bye, Lynn.
All right. Sorry, where am I? Here we are. Cancer hit as the world turns hard over these last 3 years, losing 2 daytime legends, Lisa Brown, who lost her battle in November of 2021, and Elizabeth Hubbard last April of 2023. And tomorrow will be 2 years since we lost Marnie Schulenberg, way too young. Joining us now is Martha Byrne, who had the great fortune to have Lisa and Elizabeth play her on-screen mothers, and Jeremy Bennett, Elizabeth's real-life son. They are here to share memories of Liz and his beloved mother. Please welcome them both.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
Thank you both so much.
Hi, guys.
Martha.
Hi, Jeremy.
Thank you for having me on.
I wanted to first say, Martha, it must have been incredible, heartwarming, and bittersweet, all of it, to have become friends with Lisa Brown and Elizabeth Hubbard. I mean, it's incredible that you have these 2 women as your on-screen mothers, and then later became so important in your life. What is like the fondest memory, or one of them, you have of them on set or behind the scenes that you could share?
Well, I've told the story many times about seeing Lisa Brown the first time on set with her. I mean, her hair was like yellow. It was so blonde and long, and she was smoking a cigarette and kind of like gave me the look like, who's this girl? And her personality and presence was so strong, and she was Douglas Marland's muse when she was on Guiding Light. So to have her come over and, you know, bring her talent to our show was an instant connection. She was a mentor in a sense of as a peer. She never treated me like a child. You know, she was quite a teacher for me and gave me so much freedom. And we were collaborators. And I think when I met Elizabeth for the first time, I had come from a very different kind of structured environment as an actress. I was on doing TV shows where young actresses, I was only 15 when I met Elizabeth. And young actors were supposed to speak and go home and not talk to people and do their homework and not really cause much trouble. And of course, as you would know, Elizabeth Hubbard is the exact opposite of that and wants trouble and wants chaos and wants fun and wants freedom. And the first day I went home after working with her, I was in tears because I didn't know what to do. I was so out of my element. It took me about 72 hours to realize that she was giving me this incredible freedom and wanted it and encouraged it. And her way of teaching you was collaboration as well. But Elizabeth gave you the open conversation about scenes, and we would often change lines together. Elizabeth Hubbard was known for not saying anything that was on the page, rewriting it, having notes, really changing up the dialogue, which I loved. You know, you had to listen to Elizabeth or else you would be lost. And if you did, you'd be a better actor for it. And it's interesting to have Elizabeth and Lisa together when the three of us would be in scenes. Lisa Brown used to say, "You'll never get up to Liz's level. Don't try. You don't go up there. That's her space. You have to counter her and be the kind of the straight man in the scene to give her space." And that's why their dynamic worked so well. And I didn't have that limitation with Liz, meaning I could go play and be a little bit more of a sparring partner with her in a way for different reasons. But I have had the best teachers in them but I really was closer to them off camera than I was on camera, both Liz and Lisa. You know, I think I got closer to Elizabeth since we left the show together, because I got to know Liz more off camera, if that makes sense. And Jeremy can probably elaborate on that, is that Elizabeth wasn't Lucinda. She created Lucinda and she had a lot of characteristics of her, but she wasn't. And Liz was a very private person. And to be let into her world, I feel like it was an honor to be her friend. And Lisa and I were like sisters. You know, she was a person I called every morning. I spoke to Elizabeth probably once or twice a week. Lisa Brown, I spoke to every day. So to lose both of them in such a short amount of time, I still don't think that I've really been able to grieve that, because but I feel them every day, and I feel them guiding me every day. And Jeremy and I, you know, God bless Jeremy, when Liz was not doing well, would, you know, bring me, make sure I was there with her, and invited me to be a part of her passing and her transition over to the other side. And I will forever be grateful for that. And I was holding Lisa's hand when she passed away. So it has been, to see what cancer had done to both of them. You know, we all have stories about family and friends, and you lose not just your friend, but you don't want them to suffer. And I think that's something that when you see someone who suffers that you love so much, you want the pain to go away. Two fighting women, right? One of the strongest women I've ever met in my life. And this got them, you know, and it's a shame. It's sad.
Right. And yeah. Two of the strongest women, you know, really outlining that cancer has no limits.
No.
And you know, yeah, that's beautiful, Martha. Jeremy, you know what people feel about your mother. She was, you know, truly one of a kind, one of the smartest women Lucinda Walsh and Dr. Althea Davis were two of daytime's most memorable characters. When did you realize in your childhood growing up, who your mom was to others?
Well, it's interesting you say that because I didn't really realize because it was Althea was the first big character. So quite often we'd be sitting and just trying to have a mother-son day, and it was never a mother-son day. It was always mom, me, and Althea. And we'd get into these huge fights. We'd have people stopping us on the street, and we just I just got used to it, and there was that was what it was. But it was but we would always have moments in which we would go to like movie theaters and see movies together, and we'd always come in later and sit in the back so no one would see us, not at certain times. So it was that type of thing. And then when she left that role, but she always did Broadway and so forth, so there was always that crowd, which was somewhat unique. And then when she came back to daytime to do As the World Turns, then she was a new character. And what was unique was she used to put so much into the characters I can't begin to explain to you. And Martha, a funny story. She became when she did a character overseas in Holland, she had to play a sex therapist. And she came to me one day and she said, Jeremy, what exactly should I do to play a sex therapist? I said, Mom, I don't know. I was kind of taken back by the way she was talking to me. I was, whoa. And then, about a day or two passed, and then she came back with a bag of things, and I didn't know what they were. And she had gone down to the Pink Pussycat or one of those like sex shops down on the, whatever, and started asking people about their, their proclivities and so forth. And in turn, also contacted a sex therapist to have some one-on-one to see like what the problems were and stuff, so she could take on the character with more, with more vigor, if you would. So.
Well, I remember seeing your mom as Althea Davis from because I watched early on Doctors, and she was such a dynamo even back then. I was like, who is this? Watching soaps at a young age. She was incredible, Jeremy, just incredible as Althea. Like that to me, to even top that later as Lucinda was like, what? Like, how's that possible? But she was that fantastic. Mm-hmm. Just remarkable. Martha, you had mentioned a little bit about losing both these women who were so, so close. And how are you dealing with it now? How are you, because we have so many people that we're talking to tonight that are just trying to, the moments of grief happen and it comes up and it hits you out of nowhere. Sure. Is there anything you can say to anybody about going through the grief of the loss of a loved one?
I think I really like to speak to grief as much as I can, because I have dealt with a lot of grief, and grief has different faces, right? It's not just death. It's also a loss of a friendship. It's loss of a relationship. Losing someone that you will never see until the other side takes another level of processing. And there is no map. There is no book about how to handle it. But I will tell you this, is that remembering them, telling stories about them, their memory, and talking about them is honoring them. And you have these memories because you have lived a life that included them, and that's a gift. So when they pass, they are free. They are free of the pain. They are free of the tragedy that they had to deal with in that moment. And we are left with suffering because we have lost them, right? So how do we honor them? Because they don't want us to be sad, right? They want us to remember them as joyful. Then I'll tell you when Liz's, the anniversary of her passing happened, I forgot. And that's not like me at all. I mean, I remember everything. And a few days later, I thought she didn't want me to remember. She didn't want me to think of her passing. She wanted me to think of her life. And I think I've told you this, Alan, the last thing she said to me, and I thanked her for everything she had done for me. And I had the opportunity. And that's another thing, don't wait too long. Mm-hmm. Tell people how you feel about them and thank them for everything they've done for you. And to have that moment with her and with Lisa, but with Elizabeth. And I said, I thanked her so much. And I said, you've done so much for me. I said, you've done so much. I can thank you for so many things. And she said to me, you can do more. You can do more. Those were her last words to me, and I feel like we can all do more. We can all do more positivity in the world and honor her, read a book. She loved to read and, look at her old videos, and for loss, if you are missing someone, try to find the joy in their memory and laugh and tell funny stories and honor them. But don't just keep talking about them. I think that's what they want. They want us to remember them.
I love the reading a book thing.
Yes.
And that's beautiful, Martha. Jeremy, before we let you go, you were incredible as your mom's caregiver. You know, there are people watching tonight who are going through this. What is there something that helped you, or what piece of advice maybe you wish somebody shared with you? You know,
it's actually, you have to equate it kind of to the theater, because you have drama and comedy, and you can play it either way. And we decided to play comedy as dramatic as we could, and we just tried to make it funny and laugh at everything, and just, you know, there was nothing we could do, and because there was no way you could F up, if you know what I'm trying to say. You were just going through what we were going through. So, and I cannot thank the people at hospice and Martha and the people that, you know, came up. Scotty Bryce came up, and, you know, and friends and that sort of thing. It was really wonderful. But I mean, the people in hospice, and it was wonderful to be around that. And I just thank everybody, and thank you all for having me on this. And I think it's wonderful what you're doing.
Thank you both. I will just tell you both that one of the fans just wrote that I read more because of Liz. So,
there you go.
So there you go.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
Jeremy. So much. Sending you love.
Take care of yourselves.
Bye-bye.
Hey, I am Ricky Paul Golden.
And I am Greta Monahan.
We are so proud to be part of this Daytime Stands Up. Stand up to cancer. And I just have to say that cancer inevitably affects all of us, all of our families. I know it did ours.
I'm a breast cancer survivor. I was diagnosed 4 years ago this month in May, and I can't impress enough the importance of us getting together and raising money, funds, and awareness to fight cancer.
So let's do this. Let's stand up to cancer. Stand up to cancer. Say it louder.
Stand up to cancer.
Everybody, I'm on the set of The Young and the Restless with Eric Braeden. You know him as Victor Newman. And for our Stand Up to Cancer benefit tonight, I wanted to talk with you about how cancer has affected your life. And also, we're honoring a lot of the actors and performers in daytime that have passed away to cancer. And we just lost Meg Bennett. And I know that you and Meg were very close. She was such a sweet lady. I wonder if you could say a few words about Meg.
I just, you know, when I heard it, I was amazed, because Meg always lived very healthily, you know. She ate very carefully and didn't smoke, didn't drink. And now to be, you know, taken by cancer, whoa. Sweet lady, very gentle, very sweet, very bright. She and I had interesting conversations about, she sort of introduced me to this medium, because she had done it. When I got to know her on the show, it was pretty well the first year, I think. I knew nothing about soaps.
1980, right? It was?
1980. Yeah. And she sort of told me about the background and all that. Anyway, Meg is a beautiful lady, and very sweet. I was stunned when I heard that. Yeah.
And there was a beautiful clip that Y&R had just shared on social media with you back in, I believe, 2020 when she came back to the show. And
right.
It's a very sweet scene with you and her. And I just thought, I know she seemed like a co-star of yours over the years that you really did have an affinity for.
Yes.
And,
yes. I was kind of sad when she left the show, but she really wanted to write as well. She had done the acting for too long, I think.
She was just so talented, you know, as a writer and an actress. And
very bright, just so bright.
You came forward with your battle with bladder cancer, I believe, in early 2023, I believe is when you, did you not?
Probably, I think so.
Yeah, and you started to open up and kind of share what your experience was.
Right.
It was very important, because I think through you explaining what you've gone through and your diagnosis, I think it's something that a lot of people don't discuss.
No.
When you were diagnosed, can you share, like, how were you in that moment, and how did you decide to tackle it?
Well, first let me tell you how it was discovered. And I couldn't pee anymore. That was a separate problem. That was a prostate problem,
right,
which they solved in a simple way, by Euro lift. But as was an Asian doctor, very capable. I had not known him before, and as he was inserting the tube, I'm going to be very graphic now. Inserting the tube into the urethra, it's not the most comfortable feeling. So he kept on looking at me. I said, what the hell is he looking at? And he said, are you an actor? I said, yeah. Do you do soap? I said, yeah. Oh. He said, your name Victor Newman? I said, yeah. I said, why the hell do you ask me that now? He says, I learned English watching your show.
And there you are. I remember you
You're kidding me? You know, but it was...
You can't go anywhere. You can't go anywhere.
Maybe he tried to distract me. I said,
He was.
I said, are you kidding? You ask me that now? Anyway, so the reason I took it relatively well is because my eldest brother, who is 8 years older than I am, had it when he was 80, 79, 80, but discovered it too late. So it had penetrated the muscle wall of the bladder. That's an entirely different series of treatments, chemo, all that stuff, or removal of the bladder, if it is far advanced. So the reason I decided to become public about this is because I want men to, and I assume it happens to women as well, but I'm speaking for myself, and most men are reluctant to discuss any kind of discomfort they have in that area, you know, and I felt it for a while. Couldn't pee regularly, then twice it stopped completely, which gives you a very panicky feeling. And so I want to be open about it and encourage guys to have cystoscopies and or colonoscopies and or heart checkups, whatever it is. Have your skin checked at least once a year, you know? And melanoma is a devastating cancer. Have your lungs, I mean, it goes on and on. Be proactive about it, because I fortunately found it in time. I cannot say enough about informing yourself about all that. It takes the fear out of it. Then I knew someone who had breast cancer, and you know, just inform yourself about it and deal with it as early as you can.
Was there a lot of trepidation once you were diagnosed with it and going through it and trying to figure out what the plan of attack would be to...
Well, I got to be fair with you. I deal with problems in a way where I say, okay, you want something, I'll give it to you. Let's go, cancer. I'm going to fight you, okay? Just show me the steps. Tell me what to do, and we'll do it. And I rarely succumb to a kind of paralyzing fear. I don't give a damn. I say, come on, bring it on. Let's go. And it's just go step by step. It is what it is. You can't wish it away. You can't worry it away. So say, okay, what are the options? Tell me what it is about, and then you do it. And that applies to all cancers. And just get screening, really get screening as early as you can.
The process you went through, how many months of this process with...
Well, first the surgery, they remove the cancer. Mm-hmm. And then after that, about a week or 2 weeks later, they start with BCG infusions.
Right.
And I can tell you, those of you who may go through it, don't be scared by it. It burns like hell the first day. And you got to pee every 5-10 minutes because it arouses the your own immune system response. And the second day is already better. Third day, a little better. And but it's bearable. It's all doable, considering the alternative. So I don't know how, to be honest with you, I don't know how, months, you know. Now I switched to another urologist for logistical reasons, and I just had my last infusion. The more you have, the easier it is to undergo the infusion, because you're used to it, but the consequences thereof are a little worse the more you have. Mm-hmm. And it's like you have a fever-like feeling
symptoms
the evening of the infusion, etc. But it's all doable, believe me.
And so where are you now? Are you in remission? Like, where does your...
So now I just received my last infusion. Sometime in May, they will have another cystoscopy where they look into the bladder to see if the cancer's gone. And I think it is. I don't know, but we'll see. And onward, Yeah.
And your message to everybody is what you said. I think it's really important, like, bring it on.
Yes.
We really read the message we're going to fight cancer.
Yes.
We're really here to give hope
Yes.
to
Absolutely.
fight cancer
Absolutely.
and looking for strides in research and how we can
Absolutely.
move forward with this.
And a lot of it, of course, depends on also what shape you're in. I'm not suggesting that to everyone, but just find out what it is. The more you know about something, the less fearful it becomes.
It's a great way that you can use your celebrity to good use in this case, because you are Victor Newman, people do know who you are. You're a strong character. You're right. So, and you is right.
Right. Well, I was helped by knowing of my brother's case and someone else I know, and who had breast cancer, and I saw them go through the steps, and I thought, okay, all right, there is a way in most cases, and be hopeful about it. That's all. Anyway.
Thank you, Eric, so much for sharing your story with us. We really appreciate
You've
it.
always been a good interviewer, and always been very kind to us. And
And I hope Eric's story gives you courage and determination if
Yes.
you are fighting this cancer.
I hope so too. It has helped me to hear about other people's cancers and how they dealt with it. Really helped me, calmed me down. So just do it. Be examined. Be proactive about it.
You
Okay?
heard it here. Thank you, Eric.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
We are now very honored to have with us the president and CEO of Stand Up to Cancer, Julian Adams, who has been with the organization since the beginning, initially as a member of the Scientific Advisory Committee, then as Chief Science Officer, and now as CEO.
And joining Julian is Sue Schwartz, one of the co-founders of Stand Up to Cancer, who is a breast cancer survivor herself. Please welcome Sue. Hi, Sue. Nice to see you.
Hi, Julian.
Hi, Julian.
Hello, Alan and Michael. Thank you for having us.
Of course. Thank you.
So much. Sue, I know you've been listening to...
We're all in you.
I even have a stand-up shirt on
Yeah,
too.
yeah. We are all in the same
ready.
uniform.
We're all ready
I love it. Sue, you've been listening for a while now, and I know the topic of cancer is near and dear to your hearts at Stand Up to Cancer, since you and your other co-founders have been impacted by this disease. Will you share a little about your own diagnosis and where the money raised tonight goes to?
Sure. Thank you. First, I just want to thank you for doing this. And I want to thank the entire community, everyone from the actors to the writers, and of course, the fans that all tune in to Daytime. And it's so important, the work that you're doing and the fact that the writers weave in these storylines about stand-up and about cancer, because early diagnosis and detection is so critical, and awareness drives that. So thank you for doing that. I'll tell you a little bit about my story. I was diagnosed with cancer in 2021. I'm 3 years out. I'm cancer-free because my cancer was detected early. So I'm very fortunate, and listening to the people that you've had on tonight and hearing all about their cancer journeys and the success of people that have been diagnosed early versus when you're not able to be diagnosed, and then the consequences become much more dire. When you think about it, 1 out of every 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer. Stand Up to Cancer was started by 9 women that had all been impacted by cancer. And just to kind of put it in perspective, we lost 2 of our co-founders, Laura Ziskin and Noreen Fraser, to breast cancer. Fast forward, I was diagnosed in 2021, and then just a year later, another co-founder, Katie Couric, was diagnosed with breast cancer as well. So we're sort of well over the odds of 1 out of every 8 women. And it just goes to show you how important it is to be your own advocate and to take care of your own health. Julian can tell us a little bit about where the money goes and the progress we're making. And I think that's an important element to this, because while it's important to hear about people's stories, such as my own, it's more important to hear about how we fund cutting edge research and how that research saves lives. So I'll turn it over to Julian, if you don't mind.
Great.
Julian.
Thank you, Sue. This year, 2 million Americans are going to be diagnosed with cancer at various stages. Obviously, the earlier we catch it, the more we can intercede. If you catch stage 1, stage 2 disease before it's ravaged your body and become metastatic, you have a 90% chance of a cure rate. If it's late stage disease, stage 4, metastatic, you have a 10% chance of survival. So it's really where we're putting our energies and efforts into early detection and early interception. There's an amazing revolution in science, even in the last decade, with immunotherapies, now vaccines, and I think it's just an extraordinary time where I think we're going to, for the first time, stop talking about surviving with cancer, but start talking about curing cancer. And hopefully Sue is one of those lucky ones that is going to be cured of cancer.
Yes, I am disease-free, which is the best you can hope for. So very, very grateful for that.
And Julian, there's different cancers. Each form of cancer is treated differently. There's so much to navigate through, right? And to learn, and then also, how much research is so important for all of these individual cancers, right? To really help vital funds here.
Yeah. I mean, if we think about the 20th century, the latter half of the 20th century, it was all chemotherapy. Can we kill the cancer faster than can we kill the patient, actually? This century has been a revolution in genomics, genetics. We understand the genetics of every cancer, and we can start to intervene. And I've spent my 40-year career developing drugs to treat those cancers. Again, typically we intervene too late in late stage disease, but now we're learning how to intercept cancer as soon as it's detected. And that predicts a very bright future. I've actually set a very bold goal for the organization.
I was hoping you were going to share that. So
I want to reduce cancer mortality by 25% over the next 5 years and by 50% over the next 10 years. Again, I want to turn pancreatic cancer into polio. Things that
I lost my cousin a year ago to pancreatic. So
yeah, we're working very hard in some of the most devastating diagnoses. There's hundreds of cancers, as you've pointed out. They're all different, but we can start to understand the genetics and the interception and use AI to have machine learning to make better diagnoses and more accurate interceptions of these cancers.
Julian, where does this deep passion come from within you to keep going on this road that you've gone on? It's very powerful to hear you speak, and the passion within it. Where does that emanate from within you?
I grew up just loving science. Like from the earliest age, I knew I wanted to be a scientist. I trained myself in chemistry. Chemistry is kind of the core science that understands all of molecular biology. And I kind of, I can't point to the moment where it drew me in, but I just started to work on these problems. And the more I worked on them, the more I realized it's just my calling. I'm not a religious person, but this is my religion, if you will, saving lives and saving people with cancer.
Well, whatever it is, Julian, we, appreciate it beyond measure.
Yeah.
Sue, I don't know if you heard early on, Kim Zimmer shared that she was diagnosed, an actress, and talked about her circle, her husband, her children, her circle of friends who have gotten her through this. What has helped you through your journey?
That's a great question. I think, there are a number of things that help. Obviously, your loved ones and being surrounded by compassionate people that, help you through it. So in my case, I had two sisters that had already been through breast cancer. And so understanding their journey and having been there to help them, and then them being there to help me made a huge difference. My husband, daughter, grandchildren. But I think more than anything, it's about, and one of the gentlemen that was on earlier talked about it, it's about educating yourself, advocating for yourself. There's power in knowing what to expect. There's power in understanding the progress of the disease. There's power in being able to advocate for yourself and to talk to your doctors. When you're diagnosed, I think probably with any disease, but I can speak to cancer, you feel that your doctors are your lifeline. Those are you have to have confidence and faith in the doctors and in the treatment that you're getting. And then you take that along with your own advocacy and education and couple that with those people that are there to help you, that support you day in and day out. And that's what makes the difference.
You have such an amazing team over at Cancer. I just want to say an amazing team, and thank you both so much.
We're giving you a big hug, Sue. You've got this.
We're so glad to be able to do this with you and for Stand Up to Cancer.
You've got this. Thank you both so much. And people watching, please donate what you can. It goes to helping others. Thanks again.
Please. If everybody can go into standuptocancer.org/daytime stands up, the money is going to make a huge difference. So thank you. And don't forget about the auction, which has got so many cool things.
Still be items in the auction. Yes. Thank you, Julian. Thank you, Sue, so much for being here with us tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you as well.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Joining us now are three very familiar faces to daytime soap fans, and each has lost or watched as their loved ones battled cancer. Please welcome the Bold and the Beautiful's Don Diamont, the Young and the Restless's Michelle Stafford, and General Hospital's Eden McCoy.
Hey, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for being here. I know you all have your individual stories and journeys that you've gone on. And Don, I know you lost your father to cancer, and I know you wrote about it in your book too. My 7 Sons and How We Raise Each Other. Look at the photo. What can you share about any family member going through watching a loved one slip away, and what you could share to anybody going through what you had endured?
Just real quickly, I want to applaud the previous guests that you just had on for their incredible dedication and their efforts. It's pretty extraordinary listening to what they had to say.
Yeah.
I was 24 when my dad passed, and he had kidney cancer. It had metastasized to the bones in his back. And regarding early detection, my dad just kind of, he was symptomatic, and he just kind of kept it to himself. So I don't know, had he brought it to our attention, even back then, even 37 years ago, had he brought it to our attention, if it would have made a difference or not. But he passed within 6 months, and not even inside of a year later, my brother was diagnosed with malignant brain cancer. And I lost him in about 8 months. So within, just a couple of years, the entire male side of my family was gone. And these were two strapping guys, my brother in particular. And to watch him go from that to being in diapers was just brutal. And so, I mean, that's pretty much the story. But for me, watching they were my best friends, and watching these very strong men, deteriorate was just so hard. Still is today.
I bet. I know you're such a family man, Don, and all about taking care of the boys and everybody. And I know how difficult it must have been and still is. But thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Just real quickly, additionally, my wife's mom, a few years ago, I think it's already 5 years, she was diagnosed with a rare cholangiocarcinoma. And she was gone in a matter of months. And again, in terms of early detection, it's just so crucial. Take advantage of every opportunity that you have today for early detection. It can literally be the difference in saving your life.
Yes.
Absolutely. Eden, we were also saddened to hear of the passing of your mom, Natasha, to cancer. For me, tonight is 17 years since I lost mine. It doesn't really, the happy memories and the smile, I see on pictures helps me. But for you, I know it's raw. What can you say to any child right now who's facing this prospect? What is there something that helped you?
I mean, anyone will tell you it's a journey. It's such a personal thing. And every time I talk about it, it's really interesting because it's a situation and you never know how you're going to be until it's happening. And what I will share about her story was we found it unexpected. I mean, it was a really wild journey because my mother was so healthy. We were so blessed. My family, I had never lost anyone close to me in my life. Me and my mom couldn't have been closer. And I lost her 6 months ago. So it's still extremely weird and new. And that will never go away. But we found it too late. I mean, when we found it by accident, she was stage 4, and you would have never known. The fact that she battled for about 2.5 years, and a year after we found it, she was 0% in blood detection. It was completely gone. But the crazy thing that we all know about cancer and what's scary about it is it's very smart and it can mutate. And the fact of the matter is it was stage 4. And at that point, it's like grains of sand in your body that you just have to check in for the rest of your life and hope that you get lucky enough for it to stay away. But it worked through the chemo that had worked the first time. And then it was a bunch of different trials, and then nothing ended up working, obviously. So early detection, can't say that enough. Agree with Dawn. I mean, my mom was healthy as a horse. I'd never seen her sick a day in her life. And then we got this news and your life just changes. So huge advocate for that. The other thing would be listening to the previous speakers. The really amazing thing, one of them that I took away was our team and her team of doctors. I've never seen or been in a position to where that's as important as it was. And to see what a difference it makes in like life altering moments for people going through it, the patient and the patient's family. I mean, I will be in debt to those people for the rest of my life. It's just a thing that you never forget, a bond you never forget. And I feel very privileged that we had that. You know, I remember going through it and watching her go through it and thinking, pardon my language, but what the fuck do people that can't have these resources and the best of the best doctors do? Like, I couldn't believe how common this was and how often this happens, and how if it's you, if it's someone you know, if it's someone you love, that they know someone, it affects everyone. Like, there is a story just everywhere. And it was just an insane thing. It felt so personal, but I think for people that are going through it and are going through a loss like that, you aren't alone, clearly. Like, unfortunately, this is a piece of our history that's been happening for a very long time. Hopefully at some point it will happen less. But I think just remembering that you have a community when something like this happens. And I know when I meet people that have lost someone, you have that immediate bond that maybe you wish you didn't have. But I think it can come in handy with time. And that's really helped me and kind of been beautiful and just grounds you in what it is to be a human being, looking at another human being who has gone through something like that.
So beautifully said.
It really is. Eden, I just want to, thinking about losing my mom, I have felt, it's not something you want, a brotherhood, a sisterhood with other people who have gone through it. And I will reach out to anybody who I see shares that piece of news, because it's a club, Don will agree, none of us ever wanted to be a part of, but we are. And I know the support really helped me at that time.
Michelle, yeah. I know you've gone through, you and I've talked over time. I know cancer's affected your life in many aspects with many people. I know your sister, I know Kristen, I know you even posted the little boy Luca on your Instagram, and I was so moved by that video. You've really been, you do talk about this a lot, and how are you with all of that coming at you that you've had to go through, and what can you say to people to be, to help others, to help those who are going through it?
Sorry.
I didn't know that we were going to share stories. This is like totally like, I didn't know that that's what we were doing. So, no, but it's all good. It's all good. I just lost my father 6 weeks ago. So, it's a little fresh.
Oh, Michelle, I'm so sorry.
It's all good. It's all good. But it's just a little fresh.
You don't know that. I mean,
sorry.
No.
I mean, listen,
No,
it's not, I'm not the only one. So but yeah, it's, what I want to say is, I remember when my sister, was going through her battle. I'm truly an inappropriate crier. I don't cry when I'm supposed to cry.
Grief hits us in many don't apologize.
So sorry,
I don't think it's an inappropriate time to cry, Michelle.
Right.
I mean, I was like, oh fuck, we're sharing a story. Oh fuck.
It might be an inappropriate time to swear, though.
Yes. Well, you know what? Remember when my sister was sick and I kept on doing #FuckCancer, and I remember at one point CBS said, can you not do that on Twitter? Like, they said it in the nicest way, right?
Did you say, do you not know me?
Anyway, it's been a barrage of losses the last few years, and That's nothing new to you, Dawn. And but it's I remember the oncologist talking to my sister, and my sister was shocked. It was like the first time my sister was shocked, and she had stage 3 breast cancer, HER2 positive, for all of those who know what that means. And the oncologist looked at her and said, and I thought this was so powerful. She said, "It's time to get rid of toxic people and toxic food." And I thought that was interesting for a doctor to say, right? I think that the support, like what your guest was saying earlier, the support of the family, the support of your friends, you all know, Eden and Dawn, the support is invaluable, and it can keep someone going. I can't talk. I'm so sorry. I'm so shocked. I didn't know we were sharing stories. But it's invaluable to have that kind of power. It's power, have that kind of love with you, because it's a brutal journey. It's brutal. And oh my God, I'm so embarrassed right now. I'm so sorry, you guys.
You don't have to apologize.
I'm so sorry. But I think that, like, what we want people to do is donate. And of course I'll leave here and donate. But what your doctor said before this, it's from when my sister was going through chemo, right? And to present, the research in cancer has exponentially grown. I remember my sister's oncologist at the time, this was 2013, he said they're coming out with the amazing antibody treatments. He goes, in a few years from now, we won't even be doing chemo anymore. We'll be doing antibody treatments. And my sister still goes in for Herceptin, which is a preventative antibody treatment. It's phenomenal what kind of treatment can be done right now. And it really, really has changed the game. All the research, I truly believe that as we go on, that, like your doctor said before, it will be, we'll be treating pancreatic cancer, like a flu. What did he say? He compared it to something else.
Polio.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I believe in that. I believe in that. And there are different types of cancer. It only is a daunting task when somebody is diagnosed with a cancer for which there is no cure. And that does occur. And that sucks. But anyway, that's why it's so important to give to this, because all these brilliant people are working their ass off to help folks,
like you not go through this again.
Go through this again.
Yes. And can we all just give Michelle a group hug? We need to give you a group hug.
So many people. I mean, my story is not. I just didn't know we were sharing stories. I wasn't prepared. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I mean, I'm so stupid. I should have known. But but it's just like, it's, I just believe in it so much. And I just believe in all the new research, and that's what we're doing. We're giving to support that.
Donate down below. There's the link.
Donate to standuptocancer.org.
What is it? Fightforcancer.
Standuptocancer.org/daytime stands up.
Stands up.
The fans are sending the three of you so much love. Thank you all.
Thank you, guys.
One thing I want to say to my dear Eden, I spent many conversations with your mom when we would be at events or Emmys or conventions or whatever. The pride she had for you. She was so proud of you. And I just remember those conversations and how excited she was that you were in General Hospital. So I remember that of your mom. She was the best. She was such a dear. All right.
She was. She loved you.
Can I just say on that, with your mom, I remember talking about volleyball with her, for which my daughter is a huge volleyball player right now, club volleyball. And I think that any parent that has an athletic kid is.
I remember that life. I remember
volleyball.
That
all of that is a badass to me.
Thank you. I miss you, Michelle. Love you.
Thank you all so much.
Thank
Michelle.
you. Thank you for
Bye.
doing this.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, you guys. Love you guys. Bye.
Well, we have a very special performance for you tonight. Well, I'll take a breath for a moment. That was very emotional that they all opened up in that way. But we have a little musical break now. We've gotten out 1, but 4 Gems from Days of Our Lives who comprise the Day Players Band: Eric Martzoff, Wally Kurth, Brandon Barash, and Carson Boatman. And here they are performing for us tonight.
Hey, y'all! Hey! We are the Day Players. We also have a special guest.
I'm a day player.
Howard. Yeah, you're a
Day Players.
Exactly.
Yeah, look at that.
My TV son, Mr. Leo Howard, is joining us. How you doing there?
Fantastic.
You're in trouble, by the way, but we'll talk about that later, man.
I don't want to.
You know what? Go to your room.
Busy.
We're going to sing a song today. We're going to sing one song for you. It's called Make Believe, and I wrote this song many years ago. And, you know, they tell you to write what you know, and I was an actor on TV, so I came up with this. It's called Make Believe. I make a living as an actor on the TV. I pay my bills, spewing lines that they feed me. But I don't complain when I get paid on payday.
It beats the hell out of bagging food at Safeway.
Make believe, baby. Make believe. Make believe. Ain't all it's cracked up to be. Make believe, baby. On the TV. Make believe. Ain't all it's cracked up to be. As an actor, I'm told where to stand and talk. Sometimes I feel all they want is a robot.
I hate my mark and make it look like it's for real.
Do my best not to act like a trained seal. Make believe, baby. Make believe. Make believe. Ain't all it's cracked up to be. Make believe, baby. On the TV. Make believe. Ain't all it's cracked up to be. Our job looks easy on the big screen TV.
Like we're living in the lap of luxury.
You see us on the show, we're dressed to the nines. But you try memorizing all those damn lines. Oh, baby, make believe, baby. Oh, make believe. Make believe, ain't all it's cracked up to be. Make believe, baby, on the TV. Make believe, ain't all it's cracked up to be. Here we go.
I tell my stories to the ladies in the lunchroom.
I bare my soul and bare my chest in their bedroom. My job involves a lot of hugging and kissing. It's my baby's sweet lips that I'm missing. Make believe, baby. Oh, make believe. Make believe. Ain't all it's cracked up to be. Make believe, baby. On the TV. Make believe. Ain't all it's cracked up to be. Make believe. Ain't all it's cracked up to be. Make believe. Ain't all it's cracked up to be. Make believe. Ain't all it's cracked up to be.
Wow.
That's what I'm talking about.
All right. That was incredible.
Great. That was
It-
great.
It's a shame you don't have any fun.
No, we're very miserable when we have
How did you come together to do this? And seriously, do you just have the best time?
We have the
Yes.
best time.
Yeah, we
do.
do. Have the best time. Genuinely, yeah.
We,
Eric and
we,
Wally take that
we've been touring the country for almost 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, like coming up to 2
Yeah.
years. We started in September of 2 years ago, and I have to say, I surprised myself. I enjoy it more and more. And we have a great time. We have too much fun, actually. I mean, we hit the road
Too much fun and too much bourbon.
We
probably.
fly into town and we do a show in the afternoon, and then we have a rental car, and then we drive to another town that night, get up, do an afternoon show, and then fly back to LA on Sunday night.
It's kind of like a Bon Jovi tour bus, except it's a Honda minivan.
Yeah, except
instead.
it's a Honda,
Yeah,
or a
different.
Toyota Sienna.
Yeah, Sienna. We had one of those one
Sienna,
time.
yeah.
Unless you get locked in the car like Eric and Brandon.
Right. That was
Oh,
a
yeah.
minivan issue in Chicago that we had.
That seems to be a problem. I have
Well,
a
we're
girlfriend,
day players,
Jody.
so we can't afford the Mercedes. You know,
Yeah.
what's that thing called?
Sprinter van.
So we
Can't
get
do
the
the Sprinter.
Toyota.
You don't
that
even know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's so out of your price for me.
But thank you. Hey, you
We
guys,
don't even know.
thanks for having us here tonight. We appreciate
Of course,
this a lot.
we really appreciate you lending your musical talents and your appearance. And we're talking to everybody about how cancer has touched their lives. Have any of you had a co-star, a loved one, or a family member, or friend that has gone through this that you've had to be there for? And how has it been for you? And what can you say to the fans who may be going through that themselves?
I don't know of anybody that hasn't been touched by it. Honestly,
I don't think anyone's
I mean,
exempt from cancer, be it friends, family.
I was really inspired by what Michelle was saying earlier about, sooner or later we'll be dealing with pancreatic, which I lost my mother to 3 years ago. I hope to God that there's a way to beat this thing. I mean, that's why we're here. It's what we're trying to do. I mean, I think we've all been touched, haven't we?
Yeah, I had a dear brother-in-law who died of pancreatic cancer, and he was in his late 40s, and he was like a brother to me. He was married to my sister, and it was. He was down at Tijuana, and we go visiting down there in Tijuana because he was on experimental drugs, and they were illegal in America at the time. And but he was a very talented PhD in psychology, just this wonderful man who was having a wonderful life until this happened. So. And
That's
it happens obviously with your kids, at any age, and it's just
cancer doesn't care.
Yeah, it doesn't care who you are, if you're good or bad or young or old, it really doesn't. It touches, I mean, like you said, I don't know anyone who isn't affected in one way or another by cancer. My father-in-law passed away just recently, several months ago, to I think it was lung cancer. It ended up metastasizing to his brain, eventually to, I think, his liver, his pancreas. But it's just, it is brutal.
That
like
was the word I was going to use, brutal.
It's just
music is so healing to so many going through difficulties, in their life, challenging diseases. Is there a song you turn to for inspiration and healing during difficult times?
I think it depends on the chapter of life, and what you're going through. I think that's the beautiful thing about music. It is a universal language, and there's something for everything you're going through with music. So the answer is yes. I don't personally have a specific song. I think
There is one song that we do in our set. We actually keep this song specialized for our VIP folks. And Wally, I give him credit for bringing the song to the band, and we were a little skeptical about doing it, but as soon as he started playing it, it's "Sunshine on My Shoulders" by John Denver. And it's simply about just the beautiful things that you take for granted, that I'm sure that if you were told that you had 9 months, you had a year, everything in that song is what you would want to take in. The sunshine on your shoulders, that everything that makes you happy, that we kind of just go through and don't see. But when you have cancer, boy, do you feel the sunshine, and you see the sky and everything looks bluer and greener. So that song always hits me.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah. Well, guys, thank you so much for lending your talent. And I love the song, and it was great to see you. Thank you, Wally, Carson, Eric, Brandon, Leo. Nice to see you. All right.
Thank you so much.
All right,
Thank you guys.
Thank you
Thanks
guys
for having us.
Thanks for having us.
God bless
Thanks for
you.
what you
Thank
do.
you, Alan. Thank you, Michael.
Bye. Well, two enduring favorites of daytime are with us who've been very public about their own unique battles with cancer. General Hospital's Cameron Mathison has faced kidney cancer and beat it, but also lost his beloved mother to this disease as well, and why our favorite Colleen Zenk fought oral cancer, had the story written into the show she was on, and also lost her mom from a rare form of uterine cancer. Please welcome Cameron in a car and Colleen. Love to you both. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
Hi, guys.
You guys are doing a really great job. I got to tell
Oh.
you, I really appreciate it. First,
Oh, there you go.
He appreciated it a lot.
Well, maybe he'll be back.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, you're back. Your phone's off.
We can't hear you. Something happened. What, Colleen?
I've watched since you came on at 8:00, and this has been a beautiful, beautiful, moving conversation with people in our business, our end of the business, about their own experiences. Whether it's, I mean, Kim Zimmer just killed me when I had no idea, and I know so much about, because Eric, Braeden, and I have shared so much about our own cancer journeys together. But the fact that you are doing this and exposing so much of this with so much support from everyone is really beautiful. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. I mean, you've had your own journey, Colleen. You were diagnosed with stage 2 oral cancer 17 years ago. Tell us about your diagnosis, how you realized you had this.
Well, I had been dealing with a canker sore underneath my tongue for many months. I had seen my dentist, who said, "Oh, it'll go away." It did not go away. I finally ended up going to an oral surgeon after 9 months, who said, "Oh, it'll go away. Let me give you an antibiotic. It looks like a combination of a fungal and bacterial infection." Didn't go away. He finally biopsied it, and it came back cancer. And yet it was let go, because I did not fit the model of an oral cancer patient. I had no risk factors for it. I didn't even know what it was. I had to go home and Google the thing, because I had never heard the word before. I had no clue. So
I'm not sure I heard it really before you as well.
No.
I really don't.
No, it was a cancer that was always considered the old man's cancer, meaning much older men, elderly men who smoke and drank a lot, and that provided a bacterial area for cancer to grow. But I don't fit into any of that. And what I did not know at the time was that I was going to be the face of the new form of identifying this devastating cancer, this disfiguring, lethal, horrible, ripping your life guts out of you in being able to be a human being who can taste and hear and see and be able to form words and be able to kiss the one you love and be able to just be able to live life. And I had no idea that I was going to be that person to emulate and to rep this cancer, because I knew nothing about it. So after I received my diagnosis, I was told, do not go home and go on the internet. And I went home and I went on the internet and I tried to find out everything I possibly could about this cancer. And I found the Oral Cancer Foundation with a phone number at the bottom. And this is like the day of my diagnosis. And I called the number. I gave them everything I knew about what was happening to me. And I got a phone call the next day from the founder of the Oral Cancer Foundation, Brian Hill. And he helped guide me through all of it. And then, of course, after I'd been through so much, when we approached the show, the foundation
But that is such a lesson of taking control. That you went home, you got on the internet, you found someone.
Oh yeah, and not only that, I did that after I'd already been to the first oncologist who told me that there had been no advances in the treatment of this cancer since 1884. I'm not misspeaking here. 1884.
Wow.
And I had my daughter Kelsey with me and my girlfriend with me, and they were both taking notes. And we got out of there, and they said, "You can't do that. Your life's going to be over," because his approach to how to treat me was so radical, and it would put an end to my lifestyle, my career, my ability to live,
make a living.
as a woman.
Right.
And
Right. Make a living.
So I at that point is when I went home and got the internet, and then was able to speak with Brian Hill, and who helped me then gravitate to the right doctor. And I was treated at Yale, which is now the Smilo Cancer Hospital, and they saved my life. They saved my life. They saved my career. They saved my ability to perform, my ability to speak, because half of my tongue was removed with this cancer while I'm on As the World Turns and working every day in Front Burner Storyline.
Crazy.
And one of the first phone calls I made was to Chris Goutman, and told him, and he said, whatever we can do. Whatever we can do. And I went through all my subsequent surgeries after that, including 2 different surgeries implanting radioactive rods in my newly reconstructed tongue, which you can't even imagine.
Wow.
You can't imagine. But after I got through that 6 months, I went to Chris and I said, how would you feel about writing my cancer into Barbara Ryan's storyline? And he said, we're already ahead of you.
I remember that happening.
Amazing.
Yeah. And so I put them together with the Oral Cancer Foundation to make sure that they wrote Barbara's story correctly, medically correctly, even though the way that Barbara was treated was different than Colleen was treated.
Well, it is, that's important. I mean, getting these messages out that you're all sharing about your journeys is the importance. Yeah. Cameron, take 2. Cameron, should we take 2?
I mean, guys, I want everybody at home to know that I was working until just now, and I had to do this from the car. So I'm really sorry. And I wasn't working at GH. I was working elsewhere. So I'm really sorry to be doing it from a car, and sorry I lost you. And Colleen, thank you for sharing that. Very powerful. And hi, you look amazing, and great to hear you. You sound amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've really worked hard at trying to spread my story a little bit and what I've gone through as well. Like you have, Colleen, and so many others, to help raise awareness, to help us all be our best advocate for our own health. I'm a big health and fitness guy, and my story is that I do a lot of testing, blood work and gut work and hormone testing, and through the years, and I just kind of keep up on everything. And I noticed that there were some numbers off in my blood work that, like white blood cell count and some other things. And when I finally went to the doctor to ask about them, they said, like, don't worry about it, it's not a big deal. And I went back 2 years later, and I said they're still off, and I insisted upon getting an MRI, and that MRI showed that I had kidney cancer that had been growing between 8 and 10, maybe 12 years, but didn't have the energy to spread into my lymph nodes and lungs because, they think because I live a healthy lifestyle. And so, in some ways, I feel like super, super lucky that I, like Colleen's sort of saying, had incredible doctors, incredible care, that I was on top of it, that I was aware of it. I was listening to my body. I knew something was off. I knew it for years and years. I couldn't figure it out. It was driving me crazy. And I guess, my point in sharing that message, and for so many people, and I think there's a lot of people that probably can relate to some of the aspects of my story is to really listen to your body and to pay attention and get tests done. And, I'd say insist on things from your doctor. You don't want to be a hypochondriac and go kind of nuts in there. I'm sure that's going to drive doctors great. They're going to be like, oh, great, Cameron Matheson's out there spreading his message to get MRIs every 5 minutes. But at the same time, I think it was very warranted. You know what I mean? I think there's a fine line. So, I just feel super, super grateful and so much support actually from the daytime community in so many different ways. So then, yes, as you alluded to when you introduced me, 4 months after my surgery, my mom was diagnosed with glioblastoma, which is a very, very aggressive brain cancer. And, that's part of the reason that I'm doing this too. It was a battle that, people don't win that one. That's not one. If you're going to get a cancer, that's not the one that you want to get. And, we lost her about a year or so later. And all we can do is spread word, spread awareness, raise funds, get the research going. You guys have that great silent auction on eBay happening. Lots of fun stuff. I was checking it out. I'd be happy to contribute in any way. So let me know. I'm going to start bidding on stuff. So please do that and donate.
Well, one of them is a one-on-one with Colleen.
And one of them's a one-on-one with Colleen. Colleen, what are you trying to show me up, Colleen? Man, come on now.
You brought up a really good point, Cameron, because I've always known you as one of the guys always in top physical shape, and I remember it's like for somebody like fitness buffs, right?
That we were jealous of, Michael.
Well, Cameron knows. So right, like fitness buff guy, and then you get kidney cancer diagnosis. Then you're like, right, and I know how meticulous you are about your body. So
Go ahead.
I was going to say other guys, other people, women, men that are fitness buffs and really, and then you get this diagnosis. It's a little mind F, right? You're like,
no, it is. It really is. It really is. I mean, like I love Michael calling me a fitness buff. I mean, that guy could bench press me. Like that guy could probably bench press me 700 times in a row and be like, "What's up? What's next? What are we doing next? Let's get the squats." So it's a good point, and so this whole journey has got me very, very, very involved in functional medicine and functional health coaching and recognizing, because to your point, something that I didn't know, and I don't want to get too sidetracked here, but this could be something that this could be a takeaway. This could be a takeaway for people at home. I had acid reflux for a long time. I was prescribed a medication, was an acid blocking medication for my gut for many, 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 many years that was only really intended to be for to use acutely. I'm talking 10, 12 years I was on different medications for acid reflux. And acid reflux, the medication is an acid blocking medication. It reduces the acid in your stomach. But what people don't realize is that 95% of people with acid reflux have too little acid in their stomach, which causes their food not to digest, ferments in their gut, causes pressure, blows open your esophageal valve, and gets acid up in your esophagus. So by taking the acid blocking medication, I was perpetuating the problem, making it worse, becoming more and more unhealthy. My gut was getting worse and worse. I finally went to the doctor and I asked him, can I solve this any other ways, like diet? And he said, well, trying to solve acid reflux with diet alone is like trying to empty the ocean with a bucket. And I was really dejected, went another 2 years on this medication, and then eventually decided to take matters in my own hands and actually did solve it with supplements and diet alone. My point being, one of the drugs that I took for over 10 years is a direct correlation to kidney cancer. There's lawsuits out there. You've probably seen commercials for them. I'm not going to say the name of the product, but so really be careful. Be careful with what you're taking. Do your research. Eat clean, the best quality food that you can avoid. Stay active. Those are all key. It doesn't mean that we're free from this horrible disease, but it's definitely going to increase our odds for sure.
On that note, when we were talking about, I don't want to talk about myself anymore, but about my mom, who was an athlete, and at 75 years old, she was still ranked 5th in the top 5 in the country in racquetball for women 60 and over, but she was 75. And that's when she was diagnosed with stage 4 uterine cancer. And And my mother was we had no white bread in the house growing up. We had no raw sugar. We had no white sugar in the house growing up.
Wow. She was ahead of her time with that.
50s and 60s here. My mom was way ahead of her time.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yet, she ended up developing the very same cancer that her own mother died of as well when my mom was 13. And I was not happy with the care that she had down here in Florida, and I got her up to Yale, and she had been misdiagnosed down here, and they got her re-diagnosed up there, and I got my mom through 9.5 years of life at stage 4 uterine, a rare type of uterine cancer, and it was. I was here with Mom those last few years and caretaking her, and I was with her the very last second. And
it really takes that village, you have to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
You really hear that from everybody.
Yeah, you do. And my point is not only early detection, but be aware, but make sure you get a second diagnosis and a second opinion.
Love that.
On where to go, because my life would be very different if I had ended up with Dr. Number One, as I call him. I would not be playing on wine or having fun in the dungeon.
Great lessons that help everyone.
Yeah.
You've got to be so aware of what's happening with your own body and take care of it, as Cameron said. And I'm an old dancer. I've been the picture of health my entire life until I was diagnosed with cancer. But on that note too, when I was diagnosed, because I was on the cutting edge of them finally talking about the HPV virus causing oral cancer and anal cancer with younger people, not the old crew that used to get oral cancer, young people, which is the major demographic right now. And thank God they came out with the Gardasil vaccine.
Right.
And in the beginning, if you recall, they recommended it for girls. This is a sexually transmitted
disease.
virus.
Yeah.
And they want to vaccinate the girls. So it took them along until the FDA came up and said, oh yeah, boys should be vaccinated as well. Oh yeah. It takes two.
Cameron, I remember just beautiful photos with you and your mom, and I know you and your mom were close. And what's your lasting memory of your mom that you can share with us, that you carry with you all the time?
Yeah, I really do. I really think about her every single day. The one thing that I, as a dad, as a parent myself, and I just think about her. There's something about becoming a parent where in an instant, and we're in this business, Colleen, and maybe not all of us, but it sort of perpetuates this sort of exaggerated sense of self-importance, or at least it can. And I remember that moment when I had kids, and in that moment, these, my kids all of a sudden became the most important thing in the world to me. And I realized what it meant to start to work on being very other-centric and focusing on others and caring about others. And that was very, very helpful for me in many reasons. And then I realized that my mom had lived like that my whole life. She was unbelievably devoted to myself and my brother. She did everything for us. She sacrificed work and jobs and travel and everything for us. And it all just came like pouring down. And as she was sick and going through those last moments, it just all became, I don't know, very, very clear to me that that's what I'm striving to be. I'm striving to be a parent like my mom was to me. And that's what I hold with me every day, especially now that my kids are getting older and going off to college and all that. So that's how I connect with my mom on a regular basis.
That is beautifully said,
Cameron. Cameron.
Thank you both so much for spending time.
Thanks, guys.
And
thanks, Cameron. Thank you.
Love you guys.
Bye.
You.
Hi, I'm Laura Wright from General Hospital. This year alone, 2 million Americans will be diagnosed with cancer. A special thank you to Alan Locher, Michael Fairman, and Stand Up to Cancer for bringing the daytime community together to raise vital funds for cancer research. The eBay auction is now live. You can bid on one-on-one video chats with daytime legends, cast meet and greet experiences, signed memorabilia, and more. And don't forget to bid on a live video chat with my GH co-stars, Cynthia Watros, Mara West, and me. I stand for Jackie Zeman and those we've lost to cancer.
Sitting here with Jerry Verdorn's wife, Beth, and his dear friend and colleague, co-star, Liz Kiefer. Thank you both so much for being here to speak about Jerry.
Thank you, Alan.
To be here. Thank you.
Yeah, it's good to be here with you, Beth.
Yes, you too, Liz. It's been too long.
Well, you know, Beth, May 1st was the second anniversary of Jerry's passing. How are you, Jake and Peter, doing?
Well, it's always hard. This year I was in Florida, so I wasn't around, where we lived and everything. But Peter and I, it was Peter's idea, actually. He said, "Hey, Mom, do you want to go out for dinner, just you and me?" And we had a beautiful dinner overlooking the ocean and toasting Jerry and talking about a lot of wonderful remembrances. So that was a really nice way to
Jerry
pass the day and the evening.
And Jerry loved the water.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He did. And so it was a lot of it was very nice. It was bittersweet, but nice.
Well, Liz, we've talked about this so many times, but you grew up watching Guiding Light and Jerry and spent 13 years at his side. When you think back, what did it mean for you to have Jerry in your corner for all those years?
It was everything. It was transformative. I mean, I always say this, he was this way to everyone. He treated everyone so beautifully, but I just had the privilege of being able to work closely with him. And I always say, Jerry's one of those people there, especially for a woman, there was no glass ceiling. He just wanted you to be as big as you can be and supported it. So that was just a transformative time in my life to have that kind of support professionally and personally. It was, your family.
Yeah, that's true.
Absolutely. Yeah,
that's true. Yeah. You became really a part of our family. And
well, I sure spent a lot of time in your basement.
Yeah.
And then when Bobby and I started dating, I remember bringing him to Thanksgiving for the first time.
Yeah.
Hey guys.
And everybody's judging him.
I know. And Jerry knew that he was going to ask me to marry him.
Oh yeah.
Before I did.
Yeah.
Oh.
Bobby told Jerry. Jerry knew that day.
Yeah, that's right.
It's all together.
Wonderful memories, really.
Yeah, good memories.
Well, I love hearing that. Beth, you and I spoke on the phone about this, but Jerry, like my mom, hit the unlucky lottery, having been hit with 2 different types of cancers.
Yes.
Jerry was first diagnosed in 93, I think.
93, yeah.
And a second time with esophageal cancer, which led to his death in 2022. As the family going through, a cancer journey, what advice do you have for people watching at home right now who might be going through this?
Oh boy. All I could say is it's hard. It's very hard. I think my biggest regret is that I was so focused on trying to make sure I didn't lose him, that I didn't always let him make his own decisions, because I really wanted things to go a certain way. And now I kind of regret that I didn't let him take a little bit more control over what was going on. But I think that you have to keep your hopes up too as you're going through this, because there were so many wonderful moments even towards the end, that you just can't lose those either. So it's a difficult time for sure.
Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, letting the patient have their say as well, but it's tough because you do want them to survive.
Right. Yeah. And if you're not doing what the doctor tells you to do, you just feel like you want to encourage them to do everything possible. And that's usually the case, at least with Jerry. He did want to do everything possible. But sometimes I think he felt that I was a little bit too demanding at times. So anyway.
That's love.
Yeah,
you know?
he called you.
It all came from
Sports
love. It all
Nightingale.
came from, just wanting him to get better. And
Yeah. Liz, Jerry's diagnosis came shortly after you arrived in Springfield, and he shared that he made the announcement in the rehearsal hall to the Guiding Light Company. What was it like for you to watch him share the news and fight this disease from the front row that you had in his life?
My job, and thanks to you, Beth, because basically I called us like, what do you need? How can I help? When this first happened, I was like, and you, Beth, you were so beautiful. You said, I need you to be exactly what you are. I need you to not change because everything else is changing in his life. So you need to give him the same kind of energy, be that person. And so he feels alive that way, and his identity hasn't been affected at the studio. So, my job was just to, I honored his moods and because he could be very moody. He could be a bear. Beth and I know this, and he can go into his cave, rightly so. Deservedly so. He was going through a lot. So that was my job. I felt very protective of just honoring when he needed to be quiet and still. And I feel for you, Beth, with having to tell Jerry what to do was probably a very difficult thing, like in terms of what to eat and take this and, because he was pretty strong-willed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, it created, we became family even in a deeper sense. I mean, we were all so bonded. We were in it together, and it was the whole time.
I was so grateful to have Liz to, as a backup, and who cared so much for Jerry, and as a support for me too. It was, I'll never forget that, Liz. That was the best.
Beth, can you talk about, patient advocacy and the importance of cancer research, to make sure other families don't have to go through this in the future?
Oh yeah. Well, that's why this is so wonderful, the Stand Up for Cancer, going to the research end of it, because I think that's really where the answer is going to be in terms of trying to help prevent this disease. A lot more work needs to be done, of course, and more funding needs to be specifically allocated towards that end. So I'm hoping that things like this will help out in some small way. Patient advocacy, you have to be there all the time for someone who's going through this. The medical system is what it is. And I found myself having to be on top of things all the time because Jerry had enough to deal with. So I kind of had to be that support person who could deal with all the other extraneous things that were happening during his treatment and so forth.
Well, that's your superpower. I mean, you have superpowers when it comes to this, Beth.
Well, I don't know about that.
It's so important.
Sometimes the nurses went, oh, there she comes again. So I'd have to be a little careful. I kind of went overboard a few times.
Yeah, I bet. With every right to do so.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Beth, the last few days, were you all with him? Was he sort of at peace, or can you talk a little bit about what it was like for Jerry?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, he knew what was coming. Excuse me, but he actually was kind of his old self. He made some very funny jokes and comments and had us laughing just even the day before he died. And, you know, he was in such rough shape physically. So it was amazing to see that. But
That's him.
So
That's him.
gratifying. Yeah. So gratifying.
That is
And
so him.
for both my boys and for me, it was, I don't know. There were moments that made us laugh so hard that we just kind of forgot what situation we were in. And most of it was because of something that he did or said.
Well, I think that is a pure gift right there.
Yeah, really was.
We don't have much time, but Liz, I will ask you and I will ask Beth this. Professionally, Liz, what do you think Jerry's legacy is that he leaves behind?
His generosity, his support, wow, his heart. I mean, he connected everybody. Everybody loved Jerry. And everybody felt supported by Jerry. So how he makes you feel. That to me was the most important thing. Yeah.
And Beth, personally, the legacy that your husband of almost 47 years.
Oh my. Well, much of what Liz just said, of course, personally too, for our family and friends, and for his grandchildren who loved him dearly and still think of him as being here. My granddaughter, Nora, drew a picture when they were visiting right after Christmas time, and of the whole family. And she included Papa because to her, he's still part of who we are.
Yeah.
And I think that's his legacy.
Wow. And I will add, as I let you both go, from my front row seat, that one of Jerry's lasting legacies is this beautiful friendship in front of all of us. You two.
Oh. We're hey, we have a theater date next week.
Yes, we do.
Oh yeah.
Thank you both
family for life.
so much.
Thank you so much, Alan, for doing this.
Thank you.
Hi. That was a wonderful conversation, Alan. It's so nice to see. So nice to see Beth.
And it really is that legacy of Jerry putting those two women together, that they have each other, really is something, in this daytime community. We got a little treat earlier, but one of the newest cast members to Days of Our Lives is here with us again tonight, performing Stuck on You, accompanied by his co-star, who we also had earlier this evening, Carson Boatman. Please welcome Leo Howard, everybody. Oop. Try again, Michael. There we go.
Hey! Made it.
The floor is yours.
All right. That was a scary moment there. Woo! We didn't know what was going to happen.
We are freshly tuned, folks.
There
Ready
we
to
are.
play a song.
Ready to roll?
Sure. Yeah, let's go ahead and do it. Stuck on you. Got this feeling down deep in my soul that I just can't lose. Guess I'm on my way. Yeah. And I needed a friend. Yeah, the way I feel now, I guess I'll be with you till the end. Yes, I'm on my way. I'm mighty glad you stayed. I'm stuck on you. Been a fool too long. I guess it's time for me to go. Yes, I'm on my way.
man.
Got it done.
That's right.
Thank you so much, gentlemen.
So great. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Again.
Really appreciate it. Yeah.
So, Leo, you're putting up with Carson?
Unhappily, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's terrible. He's rough.
Yeah.
He's ugly. He's untalented.
Yeah.
He's poorly dressed.
You know, I get that all the time.
This guy wears cowboy boots. Can you imagine that? Like, can you imagine? Seriously.
Oh, God.
We really appreciate you guys lending your talent to tonight's fundraiser. Leo, is there a message you'd like to pass along to your fans who are watching tonight? I know you're like a newbie to Days, but people know you. People know you.
Thanks, man. No, to anyone who joined, I really, really appreciate it. This is a special cause to me. I lost 2 grandparents to lung cancer, and so I didn't meet one of them, and I barely knew one of them. So this is a very special thing to me, and I'm very, very grateful to be a part of it. And I'm thankful to Carson for joining me in this occasion. So
thankful that he asked, and
yeah.
thankful to you guys for just, putting on this entire event and having us be a small part of it.
Yeah, it's very cool. So,
yeah,
like what you're doing.
We really appreciate you guys being here. We can't thank you enough.
It's our pleasure.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You got it. Have a great night. You can go home now.
Okay. Sounds like a plan.
Thanks.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Thanks, all.
See ya.
Stand Up to Cancer, thank you so much for all you've done in terms of research, funding, getting the FDA approvals. My name is Angela, and in a few weeks, I'll be a 9-year, 2-time breast cancer survivor, and I wouldn't be here without all the advancements in treatment. To Daytime, thank you for all the stories that you have shared, not only around cancer, but the different stories that have been told. And specifically General Hospital, thank you for bringing Christina and Blaze on screen, also known as Craze. Because of them, I found a community of people that have supported me through some difficult times recently, and I know they're going to be celebrating with me on the 27th. Jacqueline Grace Lopez, Kate Manzi, thank you so much for bringing the story to life. I hope one day we no longer have to stand up to cancer, because cancer is going to sit down, stay down, not be around, and we can celebrate. But until then, the fight continues on. I give you my love and support to those that are currently battling this disease. And on the days where you don't feel strong, you don't want to fight anymore, please lean on us, your community. Thank you.
Well, I have a very special segment and some guests with me today for our Stand Up to Cancer Daytime Stands Up benefit. The daughters of our beloved Jackie Zeman, who played Nurse Bobby Spencer for 45 years in General Hospital, are with us. Cassidy, Macleod, and Lacey Gordon, thank you both for being here for this special event and to honor your
having us. Thank you for having us, Michael.
So it is been a year, hard to believe, since your mom passed away. She had passed away on May 9th, I believe, of 2023. And here we are a year later. For me, who knew your mom for, I think, 40 years. I think I knew your mom. It's just unfathomable to me. So it must be for you coming up on this with this anniversary. How are you both doing at this point?
I think it's just taking it a day at a time, a step at a time. Yeah, it all happened really quickly. So it's, grief is a process and it looks different for everyone. So there's no playbook for it. We were all very, very close and had such a wonderful relationship with our mom and our whole family. So I think it's a process. I think we're all still just going through it and just trying to do the best we can each and every day, taking it a day at a time.
Yeah. Been living, kind of working through the grieving process, but also kind of figuring out a new world of what this looks like. And it's been a big year of change and evolution and growth. And I think Lacey and I are really grateful to have each other.
At what point did you realize that your mom was Nurse Bobby Spencer?
Like some of my youngest memories, I think she always says, which I agree, the height of her career was her 40s and 50s, which, she had me when she was 40. So I was basically born into when she really was at the height of her career. So I think for as long as I can remember, I remember when I was very young, people
just knew who she was.
We'd always be like sitting at dinner
Yeah.
or sitting at breakfast, and they'd try and put us at a table like in the middle of the restaurant, and she'd always be like, would you mind? Could we go to the corner? And then I started realizing like, oh, people come up and ask to take pictures with her, or ask for, you know, those little things when you're a kid, you know, you're like, oh, that's just normal. But
yeah. So I think, but it's unpacking too, like the awareness piece, even through the grieving process of now you really, I think life in general is all about awareness and just really now that she has passed, like thinking back on all of that and really looking into that. So it's been also, that's a part of it.
yeah,
Piece of
reliving
it.
all those memories.
Yeah.
And we loved as kids
Involved.
coming to the studio
Yeah.
and getting to, you know, sit in the hair and makeup chair next to her and
Yeah.
go up to the set. And like, you know, we did all the Christmas shows, and it was just so much fun to be a part of this like community, you know, of people that she'd spent her life with. I mean, they were her coworkers, but they were also her best friends.
Mm-hmm.
So
I know she wasn't feeling well at one point, but it happened very fast. How was it for you? And what would you say to others who may be going through this with a family member?
I mean, I think it's just recognizing that all of your emotions are valid, you know, everything from anger to sadness to it's like an entire process, and you really just have to focus. At least what got me through every day was just like, we would go and spend every single day there and focusing on the present, you know, the small things like, can we sit here in silence, or can we tell old stories? Or we watched like the 45-year tribute to her. Like we sat and we watched it together, like kind of trying to find those small moments, even though it's all really heavy and it's all really like emotional, where you're not just grieving what's about to happen, but you're trying to celebrate all the good that is happening, you know?
Yeah, I just think it's not for the faint of heart, and
It's
it's
not.
completely frustrating. I think in general, I was frustrated with our whole medical system in general, and the communication of like, you go into a hospital and you have they rotate. So there's shifts for everyone. Nurses are on 12-hour shifts and doctors are on call for 3 to 5 days. And then you have a new doctor and you don't know who's reading what or what's doing what, or how long they've been there for, or really what their intentions are, or what happened before they got there that day, what's going on in their personal lives, because they're humans too. So I think all of that is just really, it's not for the faint of heart. And it's a huge, like, I mean, if we were so fortunate that we were so close and we were available to be there, but for people that aren't as fortunate or not as educated or don't have the support, I mean, I don't even know what happens to them in these situations.
There's so much about advocacy, like having somebody there to advocate for you, and especially in a situation where you have someone who's facing is with cancer and trying to make sure the continuum of care is going on.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
100%.
Yeah, and that they know what they're talking about, like that they know what their the situation really is that day in that moment.
I will say it gave me so much respect and admiration for nurses and all that they do and all that they carry. And, you know, obviously my mom, having played a nurse on TV, it was so cool to like have these women come in and be like, we've watched you all these years. Yeah. We've watched you all these years. Like we had this one nurse, and she literally was like, I wanted to be a nurse because of you. Like your mom is one badass nurse. And it was like, you know, those small moments of like, there are just wonderful people here really trying to do, you know, the best that they can.
Every story I heard about your mom was she never complained.
Mm-hmm.
She was never somebody that, you know, wrinkles feathers. Do you find that as well?
She walked her talk. Yeah.
She walked. Yeah. She just like always chose positivity. She always like chose kindness. She, you know, a big theme at her memorial, and a lot of like things that came up, and people always said like when multiple people say it, it has to be true. It really was like, but she always showed up for the people that she loved. And it was like, she always showed up even when it wasn't convenient.
What would you say to any children going through it if they as they're going through this process, if they're losing a parent or a loved one? Is there any words of anything you've learned from it?
It is a really confusing process. Like Lacey and I feel like very fortunate we had people looking out for us. We had access to information, but it is a very confusing process, like navigating treatments and insurance companies and, you know, the hospital setting, especially if you don't have experience with it. And we found that there are resources like the cancer centers or the treatment centers, like they do offer kind of free resources to people, whether that's therapists or people to assist with setting up like transportation services or getting people to medical doctors. There are those resources available. You just honestly, like if you don't even know to ask, you don't know they exist. So there is somebody in the hospital that can kind of help try and navigate, but it's a very, very tough process.
Yeah. I think for me, it's what helped me too was just self-care, like carving out time, and it doesn't have to be expensive, but just some sort of self-care. And, you know, if you have the means, I'm an advocate for therapy. So if you have the means to talk to someone aside from your circle, I think community is so important. But sometimes when you're paying for someone, you don't feel as bad to just let it rip.
What is the most lasting memory you have of her that you hold with you every day?
I think for me, I just know that it was like unconditional love, like, and that will continue on. And she has truly showed me like how to embody being a mom myself, like everything that I want to give my children. And she didn't, I look every day and I say like, oh my God, I had the best mom in the world. And she also somehow accomplished like having her own career and doing all these things. And I look at that and I have such respect, admiration, appreciation. And it comes from a place of like, she was not shy about it. She's like, you girls are always my first priority. Mm-hmm. I will say no to anything if it has any kind of impact on this family. And that's kind of what I lead with, like, especially with raising my own children. I'm like, they always come first. And I know that there's such clarity in that. And she always had such clarity in that. So,
yeah. I think mine is she always empowered us as girls to be able to make our own decisions, and how being a woman, you can be a really strong yet soft and lead with love, but be empowered to make your own decisions and choose wisely in life, and really instilled in us some really good core values.
She was the greatest, Cassidy and Lacey. I loved her so much, and so many people did too.
Thank you, Michael, for having me.
She was a Jersey girl just like me. We bonded over that. She didn't grow up far from where I did. So
that's right. I remember you telling me that. Well, yeah. One of Jackie's dearest friends and General Hospital co-stars, Kin Shriner, joins us now to pay tribute to her. Kin, hi.
Hello, guys.
Hi,
hey, Kin.
Thank
you for being here.
Thank you so much for being here.
Yes, my pleasure. And Cassidy and Lacey, you know, they really said it. I said many, many years ago, Jackie, you have raised two great girls, and she really did a great job with the girls. And she was a great mother, and she was a great actress, and I miss her.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a year since we lost her, Kin. How are you dealing? I mean, you know, not only was she your co-star, but she was really your dear friend.
Yeah, we were very close. Right up until the end, we were hanging out, and I miss her every day. Every time I go to the smokehouse, you know, I think of her. I think of her daily because, especially, you know, when I'm at General Hospital, it just doesn't seem right that she's not there. So yeah, it's tough, but you know, this cancer thing, you know, thank God you guys are doing this and getting people to fight it, stand up to it, and get it. You know, I'm listening to the stories, and it's very tough, I guess, that what everybody goes through with the hospitals and everything else. It's a good cause you're doing.
Well, thank you. I know that Scott and Bobby were so instrumental to the success of General Hospital, right? The core, that great core four, we call it. What is her lasting legacy on daytime television, Jackie's? What do you think that is? Are you in the dark, Ken?
Well, I'm losing the light here, as they say in the business, losing light.
Okay.
Let me see if I can open this a little bit. I am a little in the dark, aren't I?
I'm like, are you in bed?
Oh,
We kept him up too late.
is that better light? How do I get?
Yes. Okay. A little bit. There you go.
Jackie's legacy to daytime TV is that she put it on the friggin' map. You know, in 1977, when we all started, by 78, it was Bobby Spencer that changed the face of daytime TV because she was the catalyst that set everybody into motion. So her legacy is huge, especially with General Hospital. And, you know, she had come from One Life to Live. So she knew what she was doing and she did it well. And she really put the spice in the nurse, gave nurses what Cassidy and Lacey were saying is that the nurses did look up to her because she was the nurse with everything, you know, fighting for everything, fighting for her place, fighting for people, fighting for the, you know, I don't know, but she was great.
I think when I interviewed Jackie, she actually said she was dying on One Life to Live and appearing on General Hospital. Like, I think she literally overlapped.
Right, it overlapped. It was actually their way it aired. It overlapped.
And she had different color hair on both shows, so people didn't know, or something like that. Ken, I know she passed rather quickly. Is there anything you can share, like you witnessing her handle her diagnosis?
No, because when I walked her over to the infirmary, when we thought that she had, she didn't know what was wrong because we were doing she was doing the nurses' ball, and I said, you know, let's go across to the nurses over here and to the infirmary and see what's going on. I think, you know, we didn't know because it was, you know, COVID at the time and there was different stuff. So the nurse said, well, you guys seem okay. But Jackie just said she didn't feel good. And she was struggling with, you know, just everything. And which isn't like her because she was such a strong girl. And, you know, so I didn't know any of this. I just assumed that she had pneumonia. And then it, like the girl said, it kind of went from soup to nuts and it happened quick.
Yeah, when I talked to Kassie and Lacey, I was just so impressed with them, Ken. So impressed. Like, what great women, like you said, that Jackie raised. And they seemed to, I love how they spoke to, you know, they were frustrated during the medical care and like things that people go through, you know. Did you see them? Did you talk to them on several occasions? And did they use you as a sounding board at all? Or did you guys kind of all do your own thing? Or
no, I spoke with their father, with Glenn. He was keeping me posted, you know, because I wasn't sure what was going on at all, and nor was anybody really. So, you know, we did the best to communicate and find out, and, you know, get as the girl said, you know, it happened quick, and, you know, everybody was confused, and it's not, nobody knows what to do or what to think or how to handle it. You know, you're looking for any resource you can get, and I guess that's it.
It's a difficult, you know, dealing with doctors and hospitals and nurses. It's a difficult process. I've done it many times.
Yeah. Can, you know, is there one story when you look back now that you wish you and Jackie could still gotten the chance to play at this point if she was here with us?
Great question.
Well, I know that Jackie loved any, you know, it's like we're soap actors. We want storylines. Like a newspaper guy wants headlines. So, it's kind of like Jackie was an actress and she loved to act. So I think we would have loved anything, nothing specific, but we when we did have scenes together, we always enjoyed them. We had fun, which is what the job is to have fun and entertain. And she did a hell of a job of doing that. I always loved it. If I saw, I had scenes with Jackie, I said, okay, this is going to be a good day. This is going to be fun today. Because, she's up for anything, she's going to be able to be there, and it's fun. It was fun.
Well, thank you, Ken, so much for
thank you
coming on tonight to honor Jackie. I know it's been a year since her passing, which is shocking already. Shocking. But thank you for keeping her memory alive. And I know how close you were, and I loved her. So
yes, I know everybody did, and we're all sad, and hopefully that there'll be research spent on fighting cancer so that we don't have to go through this business.
Absolutely. Thanks, Ken.
All right.
Thank
I'm Michael.
Bye.
I'm in the dark here, but I gotta
go back to bed now.
But everybody can hear you, so no worries. Thanks again.
Back to TCM. All right. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Hi, I'm Ron Stemkowski. I grew up with the ABC soaps, specifically General Hospital, when my older sisters controlled the TV with impunity, and I'm a current YNR fan. My husband Ken survived 4 recurrences of cancer that started when he was just into his teens, before he died in 2011 at the age of 45. I had a decade with him that of course I wish had been longer, but I'm extraordinarily grateful for the time we shared together. Loving him changed my life, and I'll never forget that. Thanks to Daytime's tight-knit and powerful community members who are lending their support and strength to this worthwhile event, I can speak for myself, for Ken, my warrior queen sister who is a breast cancer survivor, and our entire family as we stand up to cancer together.
I have a very special conversation for you today as part of our Stand Up to Cancer benefit. And I'm actually at the home of the late Andrea Evans, her husband Stephen Rodriguez, and their daughter Kai Rodriguez. Thank you so much for, one, letting me come to your home to be here with you today. Says we honor Andrea and what she meant to all of us and to both of you. And thank you for being part of the benefit. Yeah, I know your mother would be so happy that you were doing this, because Andrea passed away of breast cancer, and we were all we loved her so much. She was so iconic to so many soap fans, as Tina on One Life to Live and Passions and Bold and Beautiful and all the work she did. But I wanted to ask you, Stephen, first of all, how are you doing now since she's passed? And what can you say to anybody going through the grieving process of losing a loved one? It must be, I'm assuming you get hit at moments with it.
Yeah, it goes up and down. It happened 9 months ago, so there'll be I'll get triggered, or I'll have memories of things just driving around. I go, oh, I remember that. Oh, I remember this, and so it brings back memories, and so you just got to deal with that. But I think Andrea would want me and Kylie to just move forward, to keep on living.
And Kai, how has it been for you? I know it must have been devastating, but now what is it like for you on the day-to-day basis 9 months later?
Genuinely one of the worst feelings of my entire life. It's very difficult. Everyone who really knew her, as we've talked about, they knew how important we were to each other specifically and our relationship together. And it's difficult to go through day by day having accomplishments without her there, specifically is what I have been affected by the most, because I know that I'm young, I'm 19. She passed away when I was 19. That's very difficult to begin with. When I was still really relying on her support and just still finding my way through life in general, it was very difficult to get back on my feet and start realizing I need to keep on moving. I need to keep on going. I need to do this and this and this because I need to live on for her.
I wanted to ask you both, after Andrea passed, how did you get through it? Did you lean on each other?
We've gotten closer as a result of this, and we would as my daughter,
We used to fight all the
we used to fight all the time, right? So once this happened, it sort of changed our dynamic. In fact, somebody had told me, they said, "Hey, why don't you move and sell the house and forget about the memories?" I said, "Are you kidding me? It's like, this is it. I mean, you carry these memories forward, and it's a good thing." What do you think?
I would agree. We definitely have gotten a lot closer. We are all that we have. I have to be here for you, and you have to be here for me. We have to be in this together because this is something that is affecting both of us in probably the most similar way to everyone else. Because we really saw the most true and authentic version of her in comparison to everyone else. So I wanted to make sure that neither of us ran away from our responsibilities as each other's family, and that we were going to go through it together. I know that both of us grieve very differently with all of this. I personally went out and kind of did my own thing, just wanted to focus on what's happening currently and keep going on my path that I had created for myself with my mom in mind, because I always have her with me. It allows me to feel more at peace.
We all knew that Andrea had breast cancer, and then it came back. The situation came back. What can you explain about a little bit to anybody, the journey that she went through?
She had it 14 years ago.
Right.
And then the doctors told her, "Oh, you're cured." But in reality, she was in remission. So I think that if they had told us that, it would have been more real, because in the last round with her, I thought she was going to get through this. I just figured she got it the first time, she's going to do it again. About a year and a half ago, she was having problems. She went to several doctors and they weren't able to diagnose it. I said, "You need to go back to City of Hope here in LA." Went back to City of Hope and they found it. So it was a tumor, and it started on her lungs and it moved all over her body. So it had metastasized, and it was a very tough journey because there was oxygen machines. She had edema. She had all kinds of problems, and she was doing the chemotherapy, and we just had to be there for her.
And for you, you saw that your mom was going to go through this again, and I know you said you had conversations with her.
Oh yeah.
With this, how
I was basically her primary caretaker throughout it coming back, because I was so young when it first happened that I was basically just told "Oh, your mom has cancer. You're not allowed to talk about it," because she was still a very big name at that time, and I knew that how important it was to not communicate that and ruin it, because it could have ruined her entire career if I came out about it and if she didn't get better. And then when it had come back, I had just got rid of a college life so I could take care of her, because I wanted to be there for her. I wanted to take care of her and do everything that I could to be there. There's nothing like the comfort of your own family, especially when you're going through difficult times like that. I was able to communicate to the doctors for her, because there were times where she couldn't even speak and she was struggling to just say anything, because she had to have oxygen put into her, so she couldn't, it was just drying up her throat. So I just learned how to communicate for her and be her advocate.
Stephen, I wanted to ask you, we all knew her as this vixen, villainous Tina on One Life to Live. She played this role to the hilt and is iconic in that, absolutely iconic and brilliant in it. But the real Andrea Evans was so different than Tina. What do you remember about when you met her, and just kind of the difference in what she's really like and what the public thought?
Well, I didn't know who she was when I first met her. She liked that. Okay. But over the years, I got to know who she was, but she was very different with that. And I've seen a lot of her tapes and a lot of her shows, but she was just kind of like a homebody. She was just kind of very simple, respectful, empathetic. And she was overall a good person, and as opposed to the bad girl that she was. But no, she was a good person, and she always looked at the glass half full. The takeaway for me was, don't put family off. Take the trips, create the memories. Work is not that important. It's your significant other, your family, and I think that people in general overlook that. It's, I got to do this and do this, but just If your wife wants to take a trip to Australia, go to Australia. If you want to
Go to Paris, Disneyland.
Paris and Disney.
well, we did that. We
Right,
actually,
right. So Kai, what I want to know, when did you first realize that your mom was
Andrea
Evans?
Oh, wow. She's kind of a big deal. She's kind of important. Like, she has a presence over the whole world. As I like kept growing up, like I just kept seeing it more and more and like seeing her impact on things.
Really impressive, actually.
It was impressive.
It was really impressive.
When I like turned like 16, 17, she talked about how she was already living in New York at that point on her own. And I was just in astonishment about how you could be that big and living in New York by yourself. You have no family, nothing. You're meeting a whole new group of people.
She knew what she wanted to do,
did.
which is a great thing, right? She knew what she wanted to do. I wanted to ask you, just in closing, what do you think is her lasting memory that you would want people to know about her? And what is her lasting memory with you personally?
she lived by example, always looked at the brighter side of things. I just learned from that, instead of being retaliatory or being mean, that life is better when you're respectful. She always took the high road. You know, it sounds silly,
No.
but taking the high road, life is better.
And you also mentioned to me, and I think this was at the memorial, right? You mentioned the message.
We were getting ready for the memorial, and I was preparing what I was going to say. So I'm going through my phone, and I found in the deleted section, I found a message that I never listened to. And in that message, she says, I love you. I love Kylie. She said, she said it was the best decision she ever made.
That's probably the most amazing gift to have.
When I really think about her and just allow myself to like reminisce things, or like when I visit her grave, it's like she's there with me all the time. Yeah, she plays this wonderful devious little thing,
Vixen.
yeah, on TV, and like it's so interesting to see how she's just the exact opposite. I wish more of the world was really able to see exactly how amazing she was.
I want to thank you both so much for taking the time to share your story and to open up to us. I really, really appreciate it. I think it'll really help and inspire others that are going through this. And that's really what we're here tonight about, to raise awareness and to raise funds for cancer research. And we all loved Andrea. I know we did. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Kai, so much.
Wow, that was incredible, Michael. I feel blessed that I had the opportunity to interview Andrea when I first launched the locker room, but that was really quite moving. Daytime fans rallied in support of another One Life to Live favorite, Eddie Alderson, ex-Matthew Buchanan, when he revealed he had been diagnosed with a form of Hodgkin's lymphoma. Throughout his treatment, he went through a series of ups and downs. Michael chatted with Eddie and his sister, Kristen Alderson, ex-Star Manning, and Kiki on General Hospital, and how their sibling relationship helped Eddie through his journey with cancer, and so much more. Please take a look.
Kristen Alderson, it's so wonderful to see you. Thank you so much. Daytime Stands Up, our benefit for Stand Up to Cancer.
Of course. It's so great to talk to you, and for a great cause as well.
So obviously the two of you shared Eddie's cancer journey and what he had gone through. A lot of it was shared. I'm sure a lot of it was not shared. But Eddie, I wanted to first talk to you because you had gone through it. What was your reaction to initially finding out what you were going through? And wasn't there a diagnosis issue, or to find out what was actually happening with you?
Yeah, so it was interesting. I had lost some weight for like a year prior, and I just kind of noticed like my heart was pounding all the time. So I went to a cardiologist to get to get a routine checkup, and he made me get a chest x-ray. And in the chest x-ray, he saw something that, wasn't normal. And he had said something to my mom, and he was like, hey, like, I think you need to make an appointment for him for this. So like I went to the Fox Chase Cancer Center for like a checkup, not really thinking, oh, I'm going to a cancer center because I might have cancer. Like I just kind of was going for a routine appointment, I thought. And I mean, you're never prepared for it. So I think when he kind of said those words like that, you know, he showed us the scan and just kind of showed like that shadow right there in your chest. That's a tumor. That's a mass in your chest.
That's your cancer.
And it was like, it is that moment of everything kind of froze and it's like everything's moving in slow motion. And
it didn't feel real.
No, it did not feel real. It was extremely surreal. And honestly, like, I think from the beginning, I never really went there in my head of the negative, like immediately. Like I remember I asked my family to leave the room and I sat there with the doctor and I was like, what are my chances? And like, how do we beat this? Like, what is like the game plan here? Cause like, I'm not going to lose this battle. And I think it was very surreal. And I'm lucky that my family was there with me, like in that moment.
He remained positive the entire time. I've never been more proud of anyone in my life. Like the second that he found out, he was like, this is just a bump in my road. This is just a part of my story and I'm going to get through this. And he just did it all with like a smile. And we tried to tackle it with joy, like just to be like, we're going to spend a lot of time together and have so much fun. And like, we really just didn't let it get us, you know?
How was it?
Even though it was, yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to say, you're so close to Eddie and you find out this news.
Yeah.
It had to be so tough on you as well. And I also want to talk about not only going through what, Eddie does, but the family. How did you handle it? And how did you, you must have been devastated at first for Eddie. And then how did you kind of pivot into, we're going to get this, going through this together?
Yeah, I think people don't understand unless they've been through it with the family member. Like, unless you have had cancer yourself or a family member has been through it, you just don't understand how scary that is. And I don't know, there was just something, like I said, that clicked in me that was like, I'm going to make this fun for him as much as I know that sounds so weird, but he had chemotherapy every other weekend. And I was like, I'm going with you. We're going to watch concerts and a Family Guy and just laugh. And like, we just tried to have fun as much as possible, but he was diagnosed with stage 4 Hodgkin's lymphoma. So it was no joke. And his first round of chemotherapy did not work. Like his six rounds of it, he had to go on ice and ice didn't work. And then he had to go and get Eddie's been through a stem cell transplant,
lived in the hospital for 2 months and
it didn't work. And then the only thing that worked was Keytruda, which is a drug that's actually
immunotherapy that they mostly use for lung cancer. But they tried it on me and they said that there was a history of it working for lymphoma. So I took it and it saved my life. Honestly, it was pretty much the only drug that kind of worked. And now I'm coming up on 4 years cancer free.
Yeah. I think it's so, it's really crazy because I mean, you have to let yourself cry when you need to cry. We definitely weren't like masking how we were feeling, but anytime Eddie really set the precedence to laugh, like he would laugh with the nurses and like, just, keep it positive.
And I also made it clear, like, cause I know what you meant, like how close Kristen and I are and how emotional, like her and my mom, especially like my mom too, like, that was my first thought was, oh my God, my mom is going to lose her mind. Like my mom is going to drive herself insane, like with this.
Yeah.
So I remember I sat them down and I was like, look, I don't care what you guys do behind closed doors. Like if you want to have a breakdown, but I was like, you all do not like do that in front of me. Like I want us all to put on like a brave face and like get through this together.
Yeah.
Cause I'm not going to lose this battle. And like, I'm not going to let this, get me down like emotionally. So I said, if you need to like cry to Kristen, or I put a lot on Kristen too. I was like, you need to make sure mom is okay throughout this. Like, because that's who I don't know. I was very worried about that. And Kristen and my mom and dad and
we all really like rallied together. It was a very like bonding experience actually, and the love from all of the soap fans, like
It was incredible.
the power of prayer. Like when he went in for his biopsy to find out whether it was Hodgkin's or non-Hodgkin's would have been that would have been very, very bad. Hodgkin's is bad enough, stage 4, but that would have been really
the
tough.
amount of messages we got,
Oh my
and
gosh.
DMs and people reaching out,
Everyone praying, and it
was incredible.
Yeah, I remember there was one specific day where he got a biopsy and the biopsy didn't work or something. And so they were like, we're going to have to give him another biopsy, but make it a surgery or something. And I put it out there on the internet and I was like, guys, like, please like send your prayers. And right before he was going in for surgery, they came to us and they said, nope, actually, we were able to diagnose him. He has this. And like, oh, I have chills just thinking about it. Like,
don't need the surgery.
that was the fans. Like, that was all of the prayers, all of our family members, all of our friends, like praying. It was amazing.
I would be so upset, praying for Eddie through the whole thing. And then I'd be like, oh, wait, we haven't heard any updates. We don't.
I know. It was like, weird.
I get it. Like, it's not our business. But
and I never thought of it like that. I never thought of, I don't want them to know. I don't know. It's like a weird thing that you think, like, I didn't want people to think I was trying to get sympathy kind of thing. You go through like a lot of different thoughts, like, oh, if I post like about this, I don't want people to think I'm doing this for likes or retweets or something. But then at the same time, I kind of started to post a lot more, because I was thinking that, I was getting a lot of DMs from people who were going through the same thing, who were going through cancer, or people said, oh, my brother has cancer, my daughter, my son, my cousin. Until you kind of step into that realm, like until it kind of hits your world, you don't realize how many people are going through it. Like everybody knows somebody who has it, who has died from it, or is fighting it, or has survived it. It's insane. But I started to want to include people more because I knew more people, needed that.
Eddie, was there a rock bottom moment for you during this where you were like, I don't know if I'm going to make it, and I don't know if I can go on another day with this treatment? Because I hear a lot about a lot of cancer patients that is just so taxing on the body, on the mind. Were you at that point, or at any point through this?
I think honestly, the toughest part of the journey for me was probably going through the stem cell transplant, because I had to live in the hospital for 2 months. And basically what that does is they bottom out your immune system to where you have a negative immune system, where you catch
take
one
out all
thing,
your stem cells.
you catch one thing and it could kill you. So you basically have no immune system. So I was pretty much quarantined from the outside world. I mean, I could have my immediate family, but even them, like, I had to limit exposure with them.
I got sick at one point, and so I couldn't visit him for a week.
Yeah,
it sucked.
And I think like I think after going through the stem cell transplant, and even that not working, getting that phone call, even getting that phone call, like, yeah, it didn't work as much as we had hoped, because that's pretty much destroying your body in hopes that your body recharges itself. And when that didn't work, I mean, that was kind of like, okay, what now kind of thing. But luckily in today's world of medicine, like, there are so many options, and that's why benefits like this and raising money and awareness, there's so much money and awareness to be had, because the amount of different medicines that they have. Like, I wouldn't have found out about this Keytruda had they not raised the money for it. So like
Keytruda was only 5 years old when he and it's an
immunotherapy that works, you get it every 3 weeks, and it's for 30 minutes. And after all the insane things that I had done, like, that's what, cured me. And now I'm cancer free. So
incredible
story. What would be your message to anyone when they get the cancer diagnosis, Eddie, they find out? What is your message to them? Is it how you tackled it, do you think was the best way? Or what would you suggest to somebody if somebody called you up and said, Eddie, I have cancer, I'm lost?
I always like to say, I'm a believer that staying in a positive mentality. I know it's tough, and I have people reach out to me, friends that I know have been diagnosed. try to remain as positive as you can, but let yourself deal with the emotions as well. Like, you have to lean on the people around you. And honestly, like my slogan that I ran with my entire journey was no surrender. It was a Bruce Springsteen. I'll never forget it. I was laying in the hospital bed and I heard for the first time a Bruce Springsteen song called No Surrender. And like, that phrase just stuck with me. And it ended up being my team name for all the cancer walks we went on. I made t-shirts, No Surrender. I ended up meeting Bruce Springsteen at a concert.
Ready?
And he signed my arm
No
and
surrender.
wrote No Surrender.
Show that a little bit. That's amazing.
And he has
Wrote
it
No Surrender
tattooed.
on my arm in a Sharpie, and I got it tattooed the next morning. So every day I look down and it kind of reminds me of the journey that if I think I'm having a bad day, it just kind of brings me back to that time in my life. And Bruce Springsteen wrote it on my arm. And it was all because, my sister helped, and we tweeted him and reached out, and I went to one of his shows up in New York, one of his Broadway shows, and met him backstage. So I would say no surrender.
Yeah.
And tackle every day the best you can, and remain positive and lean on the people that are around you.
It's so wonderful to see you, and thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you
Of
for
course.
doing
Thank
this.
you so much.
You,
Yeah,
everyone who's
honestly.
watching this, and please stand up to cancer.
Yes.
And just sending love to anyone out there who is affected, who has cancer, who has a loved one who has cancer. We are thinking of you and praying for you, and send our love to you. # no surrender.
Yeah, no surrender.
No surrender.
No surrender. Thank you so much, Michael. We appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Mike.
So powerful, Michael.
Amazing.
That's the Bruce Springsteen story. I know you told it to me previously, but it's
such a great
spectacular.
story. So spectacular.
We all need something to keep us going, and that, looking at that every day,
It could just be that one thing. You know what I mean? That one thing. Yes, it's Bruce Springsteen, but if you can I always say, if you can find one glimmer of hope, any hope a day, something.
But it's what I asked the day players about inspiration and hope. What, music. No Surrender is a Bruce song.
Absolutely. Really. It's just holding on to that hope and just the no surrender theme. And I love that he had gone through, had gotten that from Bruce and made that his slogan, his theme, his hashtag while he was going through his cancer journey. It was tough because we sometimes didn't know what was happening with Eddie. Like I said in the interview, it would kind of like disappear and people like, is Eddie okay? But it's not our journey. It's, theirs to share. But it's such a beautiful, he's
For
so well
sure.
spoken about it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I love, having a sister myself, brother and sister bond is incredible. But speaking of music, Michael, your new single, Best New Me, is due out this summer. And ahead of its release, I know you taped a special acoustic performance of it for our benefit tonight, as a song has special significance.
Yeah, it's interesting. Obviously, I can't be in two places at one time. So I had to go tape it earlier this week. We went into the studio to tape a special acoustic performance of Best New Me. But when Alan and I talked about doing this cancer benefit, I had already written the song. This was already planned to come out. And, I wrote it really about how life can change you emotionally, physically, how one way that you started may not be the way you look later in life. You may have gone through surgeries. You may have had parts, removed from cancer. You may have gone through some psychological damage. Things have happened to you. And through those harrowing parts of your life, you have to kind of figure a way to move on, as difficult as it is, and to embrace who you are now, not what you may have left behind, and how to soldier on. And that's what the song was about. So I hope you enjoy it.
Well, here is Michael, accompanied by guitarist Mark Boris with Best New Me.
Every day another piece is gone. Down a track it seems I've been before. All I need is just a little time. Oh, where'd it go wrong? And I keep trying to wrap my head around it. Never gonna be an easy way. But I'm standing on the edge and I won't quit. new me. Lost my way, I'm not the same. Jonah, but I took the pain. Got these scars, no one to blame. All I know is I can see. Finally found the best new me. I keep trying not to judge myself. No reflection looking back at me. So many regrets. Oh, I let it go. Gotta be honest, it took me down a long road. Can I be honest? There's even more that I'm told. Gotta be honest, it's just the way it should be. All I know is I can see. Finally found the best new me. Lost my way, I'm not the same. Jonah, but I took the pain. Got these scars, no one to blame. All I know is I can see. Finally found the best new me. You don't know me, I turn it all around. If I told you I'm safe and sound, lay it on me, won't bring me down. All I've been through, I'm moving on now. Lost my way, I'm not the same. Jonah, but I took the pain, took the pain. Got these scars, no one to blame. All I know is I can see. Finally found the best new me. Hey, yeah. Jonah, but the best of me, yeah. All I know is I can see. Finally found the best of me, yeah.
Beautiful, Michael.
Thank you so much.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Michael, for jumping on board and co-hosting this event with me. I could not have done it without you. Michael and I must thank Stand Up to Cancer for the help in putting tonight together and getting the eBay auction live. Please don't forget to donate, to bid on the auction. It's really important that we raise money for Stand Up to Cancer. There are some great items. There's a one-on-one video calls with Colleen, Zenk, Robert Newman, Vincent Irizarry, a General Hospital one-on-one with Laura Wright, Maura West, and Cynthia Watros together. Great stuff up on eBay, so please check it out. standuptocancer.org.
Daytime stands up.
/ Daytime stands up.
I wanted to say to Ellen and everybody, you know, we want to thank all of the talent who joined us tonight and shared their moving stories, their deeply personal cancer journeys, or the loss of what they went through. You know, there were so many heartfelt moments in it that we had live, or when we visited, especially Andrea Evan's family and many others, that were very moving. We want to thank everybody.
And Kim Zimmer, you've got this.
Kim Zimmer, we love you. You've got this. A special thank you to Bold and the Beautiful, Days of Our Lives, General Hospital, The Young and the Restless for all the auction items, and the stars who are with us tonight as well.
And the team at Days of Our Lives for all the great music tonight.
Yes.
And like we said about donating, any amount is a gift that goes to Julian's goal of funding research that will reduce mortality from cancer by 25%. Thank you all for tuning in. Stay tuned for 2 quick videos as we sign off. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you for donating to Stand Up to Cancer. Your support is saving lives every day.
It's because of you that we're able to do what we can to fight this disease.
Something has to get things going, and Stand Up to Cancer over and over again has proven its ability to do just that.
Every cent goes to the best and brightest people to solve a problem that actually is important to people.
Because of you, cancer survivors are on the rise.
Thank you for funding cancer research.